Hello, one and all. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time to Zach Milne Talks Live over here on the Zach Milne Talks Movies YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining, you guys. It is great to see some of you in the chat already. Luke Ponto, Scott Edwards. Oh my goodness, sending in a 9.99 super chat at the top of the show, dude. Thank you so much. I appreciate that greatly. We'll definitely get to your question here in a minute, but welcome, guys. If you haven't been to the show before, this is basically where we take a minute in the channel. We come together as a community. Oh my goodness, Scott Edwards sent in another another super chat. Dude, I appreciate you. So I see them coming in. I appreciate that greatly, supporting the channel on that level, man. But yeah, this is where we kind of take a pause with what's going on in the channel, and we come together as a community and we just talk about what we love collectively: movies, TV, entertainment, life, YouTube, whatever you guys want to talk about. You kind of dictate how the show goes with your comments and your questions in the chat, which I will get to every single comment and question in the chat. You do not have to send in super chats like Scott Edwards is being so generous with tonight. Again, I really appreciate that, man. But yeah, basically, we're going to talk about one topic at the top of the show as we allow people to get in and find the stream and join the chat. And that topic tonight is going to be my top 10 favorite movies of the year thus far. And I'm excited to get into that. But I feel like I gotta just I have to start the show with Scott Edwards because he's been so generous sending in some super chats at the top of the show already. So I want to get to these questions before I get into my main topic, man. Scott Edwards, it says, who are you most excited to see in Avengers Doomsday out of the confirmed cast? Would you want to see Captain Marvel, Storm, Kate Bishop, and Kamala Khan in there too? Do you think they're in there? Addressing the end of your question there, I do think they're in there. I think Captain Marvel's in there. I think that's Storm's a question mark for me, but I think Kate Bishop and Kamala Khan for sure are in there. And I want to see all of them in there. I think that'd be great. But the movie, there's already so much in it. I don't want it to get too over bloated. But as far as who I'm excited to see from the confirmed cast, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, man. I'm looking forward to seeing how they use him. I'm looking forward to seeing how they bring him back because I've been one of the rare voices out there champion his return. I think that he has a reason to be in the story. I think it makes a lot of sense from what I figure his role in the story is going to be, with the fact that he went and created a separate timeline. Doomsday is dealing with the end of all these worlds and timelines. I think it makes sense that Steve Rogers has to face the consequences of what he did at the end of Endgame. So I'm excited to see him back. Unconfirmed, but more or less unofficially confirmed. Tobey Maguire, man. I think he's in there. I've heard all the rumors. I've seen all the speculation, and I think it makes sense. I think he's in there. So I'm excited to see him come back too. Again, he's not officially confirmed, but I think he's in there. And Scott Edwards also says, what's your opinion on The Last Jedi? Well, we could get into a whole topic about The Last Jedi on here. To keep it kind of brief and short, I think the ideas that involved Luke, Rey, and Kylo Ren are fascinating and interesting. I kind of like seeing the perspective of where Luke is at and what Ryan Johnson sees Luke at being in that time in his life. Everything on the island, pretty much, I like. Everything off of the island, the slow space chase, the casino planet, I really don't groove with. I don't get into. It doesn't work for me. And I think the movie is, being the longest Star Wars movie ever made, is overly long, is incredibly bloated. And so I lean more to liking it than not liking it. But I will tell you, I do not put it on very often, like at all. All right. Thank you so much, Scott, for sending those in at the top of the show. That was very, very generous of you. Also, I'll let you guys know, there are some wildfires happening in around my area, like a couple hours away. I'm in no danger, but the smoke has drifted over my city since last night, and I've been working in it because my job involves me working outside. So my throat is a little bit affected by the smoke, so you might hear that a little bit throughout the stream. I don't know if you guys have already picked up on it. I can feel it, but we're going to power through this because we're here for the show. The show must go on. and I'm excited to be here. Excited to have everyone here. I see Luke Ponto, Nerdy with Autism, Zach Goldberg, my buddy. What's going on, dude? Collective Movie Man. All you guys in here. Thank you guys so very much for being here and supporting the channel. And with that, guys, as I say, we're gonna wait for some more peeps to show up here. Um, let's get into the main topic of the night. And for me, I've been seeing a lot of people talking about this, and I wanted to make a video on this a couple days back, but I just got so busy it didn't end up happening. So I wanted to contribute my thoughts and opinions on the movie year thus far, because I have been able to catch up and see pretty much all that I wanted to see in the first half of the year. There's definitely a lot that I've still missed, but I've seen at this point, I'm at 47 new releases. So I was trying to hit that 50 before I did the stream. I just couldn't get 50 in, but these are going to be my top 10 favorite movies thus far in the year. As I said, thus far in the year, I don't expect many of these to make it to the end of the year. There's a couple on here I do think actually are going to survive to the end of the year, because while this first half has been a bit weaker than I was hoping it would be, especially with efforts like Supergirl, Mandalorian, and Grogu, there's been some good stuff, and especially stuff that I've caught up on since we last talked. So I'm going to give you my top 10 favorite movies of the year so far. Won't go super deep into like all these movies. They're not going to be like full-fledged reviews, but I'll give my thoughts and opinions on each of them very briefly. Okay, at number 10, and this is one that I caught like just a couple days back. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. A number of you guys told me to check out this movie because I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. Back to the Future, I sometimes credit as my favorite movie of all time, because I just love it so much and I can watch it over and over again. May not be the one that I watch the most, but I definitely love it. The framework of the story of Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, revolves entirely around Back to the Future. And just that alone, I got a huge kick out of the movie. Now, this is apparently based off of a TV show or some kind of show. I don't even know if it's TV. It might just be a streaming show, but like on YouTube or something. But I went into this blind. I didn't know what I was getting into. This movie is so funny and so smart and so witty. The way that they play with time travel in this film is not in the way that you would expect them to. Even though the framework is revolving around Back to the Future, they don't rip off Back to the Future. They don't do the beats of Back to the Future. They do their own story. They do their own adventure. And something that was really cool about this is it's Canadian. So I kind of liked that it was set in Canada, made by Canadians. But also, um it 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 has excuse me, lost my voice there. It has such a wacky, whimsical, silly nature to it. It doesn't take anything very seriously. It goes in so many different directions, and it's also taking place in a time period I actually lived through, that being 2008. That's the year that the duo travels back to. And I don't know if I've ever watched a time travel movie where they went back in time to a period of time that I vividly remember living through. And the way that they recreate 2008, I thought was so fun, so enjoyable. Made me feel a little bit old for sure, but I just had such a great time with Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. You guys were right to suggest it, and I thank you guys very much for that recommendation, because it has made my top 10 favorite of the year thus far. Moving on to number 9, Hoppers. Now, a lot of people came out of Hoppers saying this is not top tier Pixar. This is not one of the classic Pixar films. I kind of disagree with that. I have this pretty high up on my Pixar ranking, not in the top 10 or anything like that, but if you go watch that video, the tier ranking that I did, and then watch my Hoppers review, it's up there in a pretty decent slot. And for me, this was just classic Pixar charm and whimsy, and some great emotion to it as well. I liked the messaging behind it about the environment, and all the characters were very colorful and fun. There were some sequences in this movie that were so enjoyable. They still haven't left my brain. That shark chase at the end of the movie is still one of the biggest grin-inducing sequences I have watched all year long. I love how wacky and kind of creepy it gets at the end of the film. It kind of goes places I was not expecting it to go. I just had such a wildly fun time, no pun intended, at Hoppers, that it is making my top 10 of the year thus far. All right, moving on to number 8. The Sheep Detectives. Now, this is one that people might think is a little bit too low on my list because I've seen a number of people have The Sheep Detectives at number 1 for the year thus far, or even in like their top 5. And I saw this with my entire family. We were all together, we rented it, and we had a great time watching it. It's got some really great first of all, it's a murder mystery that actually has a pretty decent mystery to it, even though it's family, it's kid friendly. There was a lot about this mystery that really worked for me and kept me engaged, and even the outcome of the mystery is wacky and silly, but in a way that makes sense for the movie that it's been constructed around. So I thought they did a great job with that. All the characters are enjoyable. There's some emotional moments, some emotional beats that are very familiar and reminiscent to a lot of other kids and family type movies like this. But nonetheless, I thought that they were still pretty effective in what they did. My biggest reason why this isn't much higher on my list than a lot of people's is the humor was just kinda cute to me. I didn't find it laugh out loud hilariously funny, but I was charmed. I smiled. I chuckled a little bit here and there. So, I had a fun time. I really enjoyed Sheep Detectives. Not, like, super high up on my list, but it is in my top 10 of the year thus far. I don't expect it's gonna stay there, though, if I'm being honest, but I really enjoyed it. Alright, moving on to number 7. Send Help. This was very early on in the year. Sam Raimi coming back with an original concept. Rachel McAdams in this, I still think could get an Oscar nomination if she doesn't get forgotten by the end of the year. She's absolutely fantastic. The way that she takes this character to the crazy places she needs to go. Dylan O'Brien as well in this is fantastic with the subtle acting and the facial acting that he has to do throughout the entire thing. It is full of so many great Raimiisms that you hope to get from Sam Raimi. This was such a return to form to his campy, silly, horrific take on stories. It's one of the most original pieces of film that's been out this entire year. I don't think there's any other movie released this year that has been like Send Help. It is such a director's vision and such his point of view. I loved diving into Sam Raimi's mind in this film for 2 hours. It was great, and it still remains one of my favorites of the year. All right, bringing us to number 6. I'm gonna say Michael. Now, this is probably the biggest audience versus critics movie of the entire year thus far, where this had a very low Rotten Tomato score. I think last time I checked, it was at like 35% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a very high audience score. And I am on the side of the very high audience score for this one. What I think is so great about Michael is Michael Jackson is such a bigger than life pop sensation and icon at this point. And even in a lot of critics' reviews, they're like, they didn't talk about this, they didn't talk about this, they didn't tackle this or this or this. And to me, that more so highlights how the movie was able to focus up when there's so much that you could do with Michael Jackson, when there's so much story to tell. You could easily get unfocused. You could easily get this movie to be bloated and choppy and all over the place. What I really latched onto with Michael is they found the hook of a son trying to get under the thumb out from under the thumb of his father while also trying to break free of his family band to become a solo artist. That is the story that they told with Michael. Does it have some rose-colored glasses, so to speak, over Michael Jackson and his image? Sure it does, but the music was great. I really got invested in the characters and the relationships of the story, and it made me go back and like download every single Michael Jackson album onto my phone that I've been listening to almost nonstop since the movie came out, and I continue to do since it's been out. So Michael has not left my brain or my playlist. So for that reason, I'm putting it in my top 10 of the year. All right, kicking off our top 5 gonna be Toy Story 5. Now, like a lot of people, I was pretty skeptical when they announced Toy Story 5, especially since they were coming off of a pretty bad box office year for Disney. And they announced it with a bunch of other movies like Zootopia 2, what else did they announce it with? It was all movies are escaping my brain, but they were all movies that had made $1 billion at the box office before, and Toy Story 4 made $1 billion, so of course they announced a new one. Moana 2, that was the other one. Um, and I was skeptical because I wasn't sure if this was just going to be a money grab or if they actually had a story to tell. Whether it was intentional to just be a money grab, they found a story to tell. And it's a story that's very relevant, it's a story that's very timely, and it's one that makes a lot of sense for this franchise to tackle and explore. And for me, I thought they tackled it and explored it in a very nuanced and interesting way that left me smiling and chuckling by the end of it. Now, I do think it's the weakest of the Toy Story films. I do think that you can nitpick this one apart, especially with how they use technology. Some of it does feel like they cheat. How does a toilet training device send text messages and photos to other devices? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You just kind of have to buy into it with the movie. And I was able to do that. I was able to just get taken back into the toy chest, let the story wash over me, have fun with these characters. Jesse gets the spotlight, which is kind of a fun, different perspective and dynamic between the toys to have in the film. Pixar did the impossible again, and they made a great Toy Story film, in my opinion. So it comes in number 5. Coming in at number 4, Over Your Dead Body. I saw that this was on Amazon the other day, and I had heard about it, didn't know entirely what it was. Put it on, and oh my goodness, was this dark humor that was my type of dark humor. If you don't know what this movie is, it's Jason Segel, it's Samara Weaving, their husband and wife. They go off on a vacation getaway together. Unbeknownst to them, they plan to kill each other. Samara Weaving plans to kill Jason Segel, and Jason Segel plans to kill Samara Weaving. And chaos unfolds as a third party gets involved. Not only is it hilarious in the way that it uses its kind of over the top violence and gore, but just the performances here are great by Jason and Samara Weaving. By the end of it, I was actually feeling kind of sentimental to the whole story because they kind of frame it in a way where, yes, it is over the top and it's about a couple that is trying to kill each other, but it's also about a couple rediscovering the love they have for each other. I'll say that. And the way that the story unfolded, the way the movie went, I was laughing. I was on the edge of my seat at times. I had such a fun time watching Over Your Dead Body. It's got to be in my top 10 of the year so far. So it comes in at number 4. Number 3, again, bringing back Samara Weaving, Carolina Caroline. Now, I'm going to shout out, I don't know if he's in the chat. I haven't been looking just yet, but I'm going to shout out Jacob Hubbard for this one because I watched his top 10, 20 or top 5 favorite movies, and this was pretty high on his list, and I had not even heard about this movie, but found that it was pretty cheap on iTunes, so I rented it, and it basically is like a Bonnie and Clyde kind of romance where this couple goes around robbing banks and stealing from people, and it plays out a lot like those kind of movies. But what I really liked about the movie was Samara Weaving. What this movie does very well is it takes that Bonnie and Clyde kind of template and formula, but it tells a story of how a person can naively get seduced into a world of crime. And the way that the movie does it, you buy into it. You follow Samara Weaving as she goes down this path of destruction of herself. And the way that the movie really kind of plays like a character study of her character and showing how someone who is good at nature, if you just flip the script, if you show them the world in a different perspective and that they buy into, they can completely abandon everything they know and go down this route. To me, it really worked. It really clicked. The romance in here too, even between Samara Weaving and forgetting the guy's name, but the duo in here, the romance really worked. The heists were exciting. The story was familiar, but it was told in such a great way that have still been thinking about the final scene of this film, which I thought I won't give it away, but the final scene of this, I thought was just perfect and in some ways really poignant. So I haven't stopped thinking about Carolina Caroline since I watched it a couple days back. It's coming in as my number 3. Coming in the top 2 spot, the runner-up, Obsession. Obsession. This has been the story for movies of the entire year thus far. Not just because the box office has been doing absolutely insane record breaking numbers, where in its second weekend, it actually went up. In its third weekend, it went up from that previous weekend. It's already grossed like $360 million or something like that. It's beaten Star Wars, Mandalorian, and Grogu. It's kicked Supergirl into the dirt. And this movie was made for like $700,000. All of that aside, all of that amazing behind the scenes aside, the movie is phenomenal. Even as someone who I'm not like the biggest horror fan. I do like horror. I've come around to saying that I like horror, but it's not something I intentionally always seek out. From the get go, the trailers of this had such a great hook. It's so relatable. It is a universal idea of having a crush on someone. Especially for someone like me back in high school. You do anything to talk to them. You can't do it. If I had that one wish, Willow, I would definitely have made the same wish this guy did. But to see the way that they play with this wish, the direction that they go down, and all the twists and turns of the story that had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. And a lot of it takes place in like two locations, really. You got a house and you've got a workplace, and that's pretty much it. It's a very quaint, very contained story. But in that way, it feels claustrophobic as this guy is trapped in his wish. Indy Navarrete has become a household name. And when I left the movie, I said, Marvel, DC, someone's going to snatch her up. It sounds like Marvel's trying to get her in the X-Men, if you believe those rumors, but she is going to be a major star. There's already talk about Oscar nominations for her, and she absolutely deserves it. She has been the best performance I have seen all year long, actor or actress. And this movie has not left my brain since I saw it. I pre-ordered it off of Amazon the other day. I can't wait for the Blu-ray to arrive. I hardly ever do that with Blu-rays, but this movie just really connected with me in a dark, disturbing, but also very entertaining way. So it comes in at number 2. And the only thing that could beat Obsession for me is I'm a little bit more of a positivity type guy. So we got Project Hail Mary coming in as still my number 1 favorite movie of the year so far. And I actually just rewatched this one with my wife. It was on Amazon Prime, so I showed her it for the first time, and it just kind of cemented all of my feelings about why I love this movie so much. Not only is it such a optimistic, uplifting view, not so much of the future, but what humanity can do in times of turmoil. But Ryan Gosling in this movie just gives such a great powerhouse performance, almost like Tom Hanks in Castaway, where he has to basically carry the movie all by himself. Aside from Rocky, who has become an absolute delightful favorite character of mine of the entire year. But the visuals in this are incredible. The humor that Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are so good at implementing into each of their movies keeps the tone so light and fun while never losing the stakes of what's at cost for humanity and the mission that Rocky and Ryan Gosling are on. I love the dynamic between the two. I love the relationship that develops between them. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I thought that it absolutely flew by each time I watched it. There hasn't been a movie this year yet that has delighted me, that has thrilled me, that has made me laugh, and has made me have this gigantic smile on my face throughout the entire runtime, like Project Hail Mary has done. I absolutely adore this movie. Whenever I see a movie for the first time, I have a rule for myself that I don't give it a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd right away. I let that um simmer. I let my thoughts before I give a movie 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I give it a couple years. But if I really like a movie, if I love it after I see it, I'll give it a 4.5. I couldn't do that with Project Hail Mary. I had to give it a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd right away because of how it affected me and how it continues to affect me. I don't know if there's a movie that can beat this one. Doomsday looks great. Dune 3 looks great. Spider-Man looks great. The Odyssey looks amazing. But the feelings I got from Project Hail Mary and the adventure that we went on, I just adored it. So for that reason, it's my number 1 favorite of the year thus far. All right, what do you guys think of my list? Do you disagree? Do you agree with some of the picks? What would you have in your top 10 favorite? What's a movie that I should be checking out? Comment down below. I'd love to hear what you say. Excuse me. My throat, I feel it. All right. With that out of the way, we are going to get to what we're really here to do, which is answer your comments and questions. So, going to the top of the list, and there's a many comments and questions. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. All right, so let's see here. We're gonna start with Luke Ponto saying, Zach, my guy, hope you've been well. I've been doing very well, Luke. I hope you've been well. I've been busy these past couple weeks with a lot of family stuff, with a lot of just life, but all good things. Nothing bad, nothing terrible, all good things. Nerdy with autism, what's going on, my friend? He says, Zach, hello, how are you? Your wife and your son, how are your son and your wife doing? They're doing very well, actually. They're doing great. They're not as affected by the smoke in the air as I am. But other than that, they're doing really, really well. My son continues to just be growing, and now he's trying. He's sign language. This is more. I just did that. He sign language is like more and all done. And sometimes he gets too confused, and it can cause for some chaos around here. But he's really starting to be like interactive, and the more interactive he gets, the more fun he gets. So I'm having a blast, and he's doing so great. So thanks for asking. I appreciate that. Again, Scott Edwards sending in the super chats. I appreciate that so much, Scott. Thank you so much for supporting on that level, man. Um, let's see here. Why do we do a jump? Zach Goldberg, my buddy. Hey, what's going on, Zach? I appreciate you being here, my friend. He also just released his favorite movies of the year I saw today. So check out Zach Goldberg's channel. Check out what he's doing over there, and check out what movies he liked the most. Nerdy with Autism says, what are your thoughts on Jack Black's School of Rock? I love this film. It's funny, great music in it as well. Oh, it's great. Yeah, I love it. A lot of it's nostalgic, I'm sure. But I actually just watched that with my wife again not too long ago, and I think it holds up pretty well. I think the humor still holds up. Jack Black might be one of his most iconic roles for sure. The music's still pretty fun. It's crazy to watch that movie and then look at where all the kids in that movie are today. Like they're like it will definitely make you feel old, even though I think I was only like 5 years old when the movie came out. But yeah, that's a childhood favorite that still holds up to this day, and it's always great when childhood favorites can still be enjoyable when you're an adult, and that's one of them that works for me as an adult. Luke Ponto, watched any good movies lately? Well, we just went through 10 of them, but a couple that I didn't mention, I saw a pretty kind of like Baby Driver meets Whiplash kind of heist film called Tuner, which I heard a lot of buzz about, and I enjoyed that one. I thought that was pretty enjoyable. I watched Hokum, which had a lot of buzz and definitely had some creepy atmospheric moments. Overall, I thought it was I thought it was good. I didn't blow me away like a lot of people were kind of making me feel like it was going to. I saw Pressure with Brendan Fraser, which I missed in theaters. I was surprised to see that was on iTunes for rent already, but that was pretty good. If not a little bit, I don't want to say dry because it had some really intense moments. I don't think it's very rewatchable, is what I would say. I enjoyed the first time watch of Pressure. It showed me a side of history that I was unfamiliar with, and the performances across the board were phenomenal. But yeah, that was good. I've been watching some good stuff aside from the ones that were added into my top 10, like Carolina Caroline and Over Your Dead Body. There has been stuff that I've been watching that I've been like absolutely loving. But yeah, no, good stuff. And then aside from that, I've been going through the Christopher Nolan films, preparing for the Odyssey. So I watched Insomnia for the first time, got caught up with that. Watched his first film, Following, as well, got caught up with that. And I've been watching a lot of Disney live action remakes in preparation for Moana. And I have about an hour left in Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and I am struggling so hard to get through that one. So that's some of what I've been watching. Collective Movie Man. What's going on, Collective Movie Man? Thanks for being here, man. Always appreciate you, my friend. Hey Zach, how are you doing tonight, Friday? It's not Friday, man. I hate to say it to you. I wish it was Friday. Um, I'm finally seeing Supergirl. Uh, I hope you love it. I hope you love it. Is all I'll say. I was supposed to see it when it first came out, but then I heard all the negative reactions. Yeah, I don't think I was as negative as a lot of people were on that movie. I was definitely like in a thumbs up, thumbs down opinion. I was a thumbs down on it. Not a harsh thumbs down, but a thumbs down overall. I would say that I lean more to not liking that movie than liking that movie. Has some good moments, but it's coming out on VOD in like 20 days. So, if you want to hold off, you only got 20 days and then you can own it and watch it. I mean, you'll probably be able to buy it to own for not much more than a ticket to see it once. But yeah, that sounds like a fun Friday, man. I hope you love it. My Friday, this is going to be seeing Moana because my mom wants to see Moana with me, which I think is sweet. So I'm gonna probably go see Moana with my mom. Um, am I excited to see Moana? No, but you know what? Content for the channel, and I've been watching all the Disney live action remakes for it, so I might as well make a video out of it since I've been putting all the time and energy into it. I don't know why this isn't scrolling properly for me tonight. That's really annoying. Oh, there we go. Collect Movement says, Friday, I don't care. I'm seeing it. I'm going in with an open mind, going to try to enjoy it. Yeah, that's the best way to go, man. Look, I mean, just because I didn't like it all that much, there's a lot of people who did like it. In fact, I'm a big I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Now Playing Movie podcast. I love those guys, Arnie Stewart, Jacob Brock, all those guys. Great podcast. If you haven't heard it, they do movie reviews. They basically like go through the movie scene by scene, give their thoughts and analysis on the whole thing, and then come out at the end. It's actually where I got my inspiration to do recommendations as opposed to letter grades or scores. But I listen to them all the time. And one of the guys on there, he said Supergirl was the best comic book movie since No Way Home to him, and he gave it a strong recommend to his audience. So there are people out there that do like Supergirl. They're out there, they're living, and their opinions are no less valid than mine and those who didn't particularly like Supergirl. So you might end up loving it, man, and I hope you do. Um, this is annoying. What is going on with the scroller? Collect Movement. Did you see the new Dune trailer that dropped today? It's amazing. It's even better than the first one. Oh yeah, baby. I saw that Dune trailer. Let me see if I can pull up something from it. I actually think I have it still open on my. I was looking at some images the other just a minute ago at some of the Dune because dude, let's talk about the trailer for just a minute. Because I had no idea. Apparently, it was like a thing going around that we were going to get a trailer today. I had no idea we were getting a trailer today. Which, by the way, Dune 2, Doomsday 0. So, like, what's going on with that? You coming out on the same day. Dune's kicking your butt right now, Doomsday. You got to get some promotion out there. But going into this trailer, I was really excited to see what we were going to get with it. And of course, when you get into an official trailer as opposed to a teaser, you're going to get a little bit more of story, a little bit more of character. But I was not prepared for just how much we were going to get with this trailer because what I loved about the first trailer was the tone and really showing just how immaculate the filmmaking was, really coming off of Doom Part 2, which is some of the most impressive filmmaking I've seen in like the last uh decade, definitely the last like 5 years. And to see that is continuing in Doom Part 3 got me really excited. What this trailer did for me that I wasn't expecting and was very delighted by is the story looks fantastic. This entire trailer was devoted to showing the betrayal, the severed relationships, and where everyone is at in this time since Paul Atreides has been ruling. And what I thought was so fascinating about this trailer in particular was Robert Pattinson's character and Florence Pugh because I was aware that Robert Pattinson was uh, essentially an antagonist to Paul Atreides in the movie. But the line in the trailer where he says, or I think it's Florence Pugh who says, "You're planning on killing Paul Atreides. You just signed our death warrants." I paused the video for a second when I saw that, and I was like, "This is going to be an epic conflict in this movie." Like what Robert Pattinson and what Timothy Chalamet are going to bring to these roles and to these characters and to this animosity between them. And it also just said so much about where Paul Atreides is going to be by the time we get to this film. And then of course you've got Zendaya in there, um, giving her Oscar real performance at the beginning of the trailer. Just I loved seeing it really does feel like a conclusion. It feels like this is going to be the end of all of their stories. It feels set up to be. It doesn't feel like they are going to do more after this, at least not with Denis Villeneuve, which tells me he's focused. He knows where he's going with this story. There was a lot of weird imagery in it too, like Anya Taylor-Joy's character in like a body bag, almost like in Nightmare on Elm Street. Um, which was kind of freaky, but I also kind of loved. Oh, whoops, lost my photo here. I actually think there's a photo of that on here if I can find it. Yeah, yeah, right here. Bloodied up and looking great. So yeah, no, this trailer was incredible, and it made me even more excited to see the movie more than I already was. And as much as I love Revenge of the Sith, this really does feel like the Revenge of the Sith that we should have gotten. I mean, I know Star Wars took heavily from Dune. There was a lot of inspiration there, so I can't say that this is like Anakin because Anakin is like Paul Atreides. But that's what I was thinking of during this trailer as well. I'm like, man, this is the epic conclusion that the Star Wars prequel trilogy should have had. But it's going to Dune, and I'm not going to complain about that because I loved Dune Part 2. Very excited to see Dune Part 3. So yeah, that trailer was chef's kiss. Magnificent. And it even included, I think it did. I think it even included the chant at the end as well. So I do think it's better than the first trailer. If it didn't have the chant, the first trailer would have taken it because that chant's iconic already, but it's in there, so it was better than the teaser trailer. But the movie, man, I'm still not excited for Doomsday. They haven't dropped one trailer, and I guess there's trouble behind the curtains. John Campea is going to be talking about it tomorrow. I heard that today. Yeah. Um. Apparently, John Campea, being the little tease that he is, all he said was it's not going well. What does that mean? In the editing bay, on set, the construction of the film, like what's not going well. It could be a number of things. I'm still confident the movie's going to be good because when things don't work, or especially at Marvel, and especially for a movie like Doomsday, again, depending on what it is, if it's the edit, if it's the story construction, whatever it is, Kevin Feige going to fix that. Kevin Feige is going to fix that. He's going to say, take these reshoots and you go shoot them. What's not working in this edit? Oh, you need this? Go shoot it. They have so much writing on Doomsday. They literally can't afford for it not to work. I don't think that's hyperbole. With the amount of stars, with the amount of money that they've spent on this, with the reputation. Granted, it's gotten better. Marvel's reputation has recovered a bit over the last little bit with like Wonder Man and the Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. They're getting back up there, but Doomsday is the real test. Doomsday is like the make it or break it. All right, is your quality going to continue or is it not? They need it to work. They can't have a Supergirl situation where the director made one cut, the studio made another cut. They tested it to see which one they liked better, but it was already a pretty poor movie in and of itself. They just put out the less poor version into theaters. You can't do that with Doomsday. You just can't. You got to fix it. You got to fix it. So I'm curious to see what John Campea is going to say tomorrow. I am. I'm sure it's going to be vague. I'm sure he's not going to say too much, but I'm still excited, man. Nothing's gonna temper my excitement until I see a really, really bad piece of marketing, like the trailer's awful or something. But until then, I'm there. Collect Movie Man says, seeing the new Dune trailer today pushed Doomsday for another time because I asked my mom if I could do a double feature. She said no, so I'll probably see it like 2 or 3 days later. I'm gonna be in the same boat as you, man. I'm uh I'm not sure I can do a double feature because that's gonna require me to either be at the theater on a Friday night, probably from like 7 to 2 or 3 in the morning. And I don't think I can do that. Is that right? Yeah, because it'd be well, maybe 1 in the morning, 12:30, 1 in the morning. And then Saturday, that's gonna require me to be there an entire afternoon or maybe evening. And I don't want to wait for Saturday to see either one of them. So honestly, I'm probably seeing Doomsday on Thursday, either Thursday or Friday, depending on the time slot, because it's gonna. I think Doomsday is gonna be like 3 hours long. I think Doom Part 3, without question, is gonna be 3 hours long. And I got work the next day, so I don't want to go to too late of a showing. So I'm probably gonna see Doomsday on Friday, Thursday if I can help it, and then Dune on Saturday is probably what's gonna end up happening. But it's also gonna be the holiday season, and my holiday seasons are filled with family and busyness, so I can't speak for sure. But I'll tell you right now, if I had to choose between one or the other, I don't know what I would do. I do think I would pick Doomsday in the end because I'm just I just love Marvel. But I can't miss Dune Part 3, so I don't know what I would do. Zach Goldburn says, "Oh damn, hope that fam okay." Yeah, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. We've got plastic on the windows. We're sealing up the cracks. We're not the smoke is dissipating a little bit. They say that it's not gonna go away entirely, but the what's the health level is at hazardous. So it's not great. It's not great. Um Scott Edwards says, I think The Last Jedi made story decisions people hated. Oh, 100% it did. It made a lot of story decisions that people hated. And it completely severed and split the Star Wars fan base down the middle, and they've never been able to recover. They've never been able to recover from it up until this point. And a lot of that too is like you had one shot to bring back the original trio and tell their stories, and you didn't satisfy. You just didn't. Which is unfortunate. Now, I think Rise of Skywalker is worse. I think Rise of Skywalker did not as much damage to the fandom, but more damage to like the Star Wars and the Star Wars lore. I really dislike Rise of Skywalker. I can watch Last Jedi. Like I said, I like everything on the island and the conversations around the Jedi and the Sith and where Luke is at. But everything else just feels like, what are you doing? Like, what is this casino planet? Why are we going so slow? Why isn't Holdo telling Poe the plan? It's not that big a deal, Holdo. Just tell him the plan. That drove me nuts, especially when it was revealed what the plan was. Drove me nuts. So yeah, I knew that that movie was gonna be in trouble when it opened up with Poe doing a Yo Mama joke basically to Huck. So yeah, unfortunate. I was really hyped for that film. Nerdy with Autism says, I'm finally just started reading the fourth Harry Potter book, Goblet of Fire. I'm really enjoying the Harry Potter book so far. Goblet of Fire was my favorite Harry Potter movie for the longest time. And I hear that people who have Goblet of Fire as their favorite book genuinely don't like the movie all that much. So I've always found that interesting. But I've never read the Harry Potter books. I've never listened to them on Audible. I want to listen to the first book before the series comes out in December, which how crazy. We got Doomsday, we got Dune Part 3, and we've got a Harry Potter HBO Max series all coming in December. Santa Claus has been good to us. We are very much on his nice list. But yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I hope that you continue to enjoy the books and have a good time with it. Zach Goldburn says, I haven't seen everything yet, but it's a great year so far. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's like even looking at some of the stuff I haven't mentioned that I watched this year because I have my where is it? I have my list here. What else is on here? Like, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die was fun. I really enjoyed that. I really liked Disclosure Day. A lot of people did not like Disclosure Day. I was locked in. I thought it was really enjoyable. I had a good time with Masters of the Universe. I know a lot of people um did not see that one because it made like no money at the box office, but I kind of liked it. There was a little animated movie on Netflix called Swapped, which I thought was kind of enjoyable. I really liked They Will Kill You. I thought that was fun and innovative. Maybe not innovative, but definitely fun. Mario Galaxy was fun. Mortal Kombat 2 was fun. Um, Not as great as I wanted them to be, but still pretty enjoyable. Goat was a kind of a pleasant surprise from Sony Animation. Even on streaming, you had, like, The Wrecking Crew earlier this year with, Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa. I thought that was a very enjoyable time. War Machine on Netflix was fun. The Rip, was pretty decent. Primate was, B horror deliciousness. Like, there's been some fun stuff I've been watching. There's been a lot of disappointments too. Scream 7 was super disappointing. I didn't like Ready or Not 2, and I hate saying that, but it's true. Uh that was disappointing to me. Strangers Chapter 3 was so bad. Uh Thrash even on Netflix was just like a crawl ripoff with nowhere near the excitement and way too little of a cast to have any real carnage. Supergirl was disappointing. Mandalorian and Grogu was disappointing in the way that I expected it to be. But I've been watching some stuff that I've been having fun with. So yeah, I can't complain too much about. Ha, I didn't even share that on the screen. That's hilarious. I forgot to. Whoops. You guys didn't see what I was looking at. I apologize. But yeah, no, good year. Or I would say decent year. I wouldn't say good. But in the top 10, the ones that stand out, they stand out. Zach Goldberg says I'm at 55 movies for 2026 so far. That's pretty good. I've never been this close to you before. I'm at 47. I'm only like 8 movies away from catching up to you. That has never happened in the time that I've known you, man. That's exciting for me. Usually I'm at like 22 right now. My goal, because last year my goal was to hit 100. I'd never seen 100 new releases in a year before, and I managed to do that by the end of the year. My goal this year is 110. I'm trying to beat last year, so I feel pretty good. I wanted to get to the 50 spot by this time, but there's time for that. And I've been watching so much stuff. So much stuff. It's actually crazy. Basically cut out Instagram Reels, basically cut out any type of doom scrolling that I could, and I dedicate the time that I would doom scroll to a movie. That's what I try to do anyways. I'm not always successful, but that's been working for me. Luke Ponto says, "Here's my current top 10 of the year." All right, buddy, let's hear it. Number 10, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, same as me. Number 9, Backrooms. I liked Backrooms overall. I didn't love Backrooms as much as I was hoping to, and I didn't fully click with the ending. It wasn't my favorite ending. Number 8, The Drama. That was a very psychologically interesting movie where I watched that movie. This is actually kind of fun, and it's a testament to the movie. I watched that movie, and then I went to a family gathering that night, and they asked like, what have I been watching or whatever, and I said, "Oh, I just watched this movie called The Drama." They said, "What it's about?" And I told them the premise of what it was about, and all of the sudden, my family, unprovoked, they just started having a huge debate over the main issue of the movie. And I was fascinated by it because all I did was mention what the movie was about, and this conversation and this dialogue just broke out amongst all of my family members, and I was like, "That's an effective movie when you don't even have to watch it, and it gets the conversation started." Um, so yeah, the drama's up there. It's not in my top 10, but I liked that one a lot. Luponto Undertone. That was a pretty creepy first time watch, but my biggest problem with Undertone is once it ended, I was like, "Oh, I don't have to watch this again because it's not going to be scary next time I watch it." That's always a thing for me in some of these horrors is something like Undertone where it's like in the moment is so creepy because you're not sure what's going on, but once the resolution happens and you find out that in my opinion essentially nothing was going on, I very rarely want to go back and rewatch that film. because the scares don't hold up for me because I know ultimately nothing really happens. That might be unfair, but yeah. Zach Goldberg says Nirvana's so damn good. Yeah, it really is. Going on with Luke Ponto is number 6 is Over Your Dead Body. Yeah, really fun film. Number 5, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Didn't see it. Haven't caught up with the 28 years. I'm not really interested, to be honest. Number 4, Project Hail Mary. Number 3, Hokum. Yeah, Hokum was kind of similar to Undertone for me, where I liked the performance with Adam Scott. I love the atmosphere. I love the camera work. I love the direction. And when the creepy stuff happened, like that guy with the bunny ears and the eyes burned into my brain. If they ever continue with Hokum, that is your face of the franchise. That is the creepy. It's not the witch lady. It's that bunny guy. Um, but again, it's kind of the same thing with Undertone, where it's like it was kind of creepy. It had some great atmospheric setup, but by the end of the movie, I didn't feel like I learned much about the lore or much about what was really going on. And some people might like that. Some people might like the you know, ambiguity. What am I trying to say? The mystery, keeping the mystery alive. I don't know. I'm more fulfilled by like answers in some ways. Um, but I liked Hokum. I liked Hokum well enough. It was not the movie I was expecting it to be, but I liked it. You go on to say number 2, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Really enjoyed that. And number 1, of course, Obsession. Yep, can't argue with you there, Luke. Obsession is that's a special one. That is a special one indeed. Let's see here. The 8th Avenue member for 27 months, dude. Cannot appreciate you enough, man. I cannot appreciate you enough for sticking on the memberships, even though there's nothing for the members to really get. But I appreciate you, man. Supporting the channel on that level is amazing. I actually think there's a little bit of smoke coming into the room right now. My window might not be completely sealed. Um, let's see here. We've got Collective Movement saying, I've only seen 11 movies this year that are new releases, and only 5 of them are my favorite. Yeah, man, that's pretty good. 11 new ones is pretty good. And I'd be curious to hear what they are, man. What you been watching? Let's see here. We got Luponto doing Nudity. Small Zero. What's going on, crew? I was just on the Small Zero podcast on Friday. We talked about the G.I. Joe movie. We talked about James Gunn, the Supergirl box office disaster and all that kind of stuff. But check out the Small Zero crew. They are fantastic and I have a lot of fun when they invite me over there. So they say, what's going on, Zach? It's great having you on last Friday. You are awesome. Oh, you guys are awesome. I appreciate that. This is one of our favorite guests we've ever had on the show. Zach, greatest guy in the world. Good Canadian kid. Oh, you guys are the best, man. Matt, Jake, Ryan, you guys are the best over there. And they've had Robert Meyer Burnett on. They've had Jeff Snyder on their show, and I'm one of their favorites. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Zach Goldberg said Hoppers is so fun. Yeah, man. I really enjoyed it. And even like the connection that they give the main girl and her grandma. I liked how all that played out. I thought it was great. I don't know why people have to compare like, like Pixar amongst Pixar. It's always very interesting to me. But I mean I kind of get it. They're a studio, but they're also a franchise, kind of like how you compare MCU movies to MCU movies, but it's a Marvel Studios, but we don't do that with like 20th Century Fox. Oh, this 20th Century Fox movie was much better than this 20th Century Fox movie. I don't know. It's always interesting. I enjoyed it. I thought Pixar put out a winner with that one. Zach Goldberg says it starts off slow and then just becomes a hoot. Are you talking about Hooter or Hooters? I like to see Pixar's take on Hooters. Are you talking about Hoppers? Is what I meant to say. Luke Barnes says Hoppers is great. Yeah, Zach Goldberg, the shark chase was hilarious, dude. That's some of my favorite imagery I've seen all year in a theater. When they picked up that shark, I don't want to spoil it, but it was unexpected, and I loved every second of it. I thought what they did with that was great. Zach Goldberg says Sheep Detective surprised me. You know what? I think Some of what happened for me with Sheep Detectives is, I'll be flat out honest, I thought it looked terrible. Not terrible. I just didn't think it looked interesting. It didn't look like a movie that I was gonna seek out. And then people who got to watch it got to have the pleasant surprise of discovering the movie's not crap. It's pretty great. And then they hyped it up. And like my number one favorite of the year, this is great. This is one of the best. I think Robert Meyer Burnett has it as his favorite movie of the year. And John Campea and Robert Meyer Burnett, I listen to those two the most, I would say. So I think it was just so built up for me that I was expecting it to be a little bit more than like a lot of familiar reminiscent kids and family films of the same nature. Still really good for what it was, like amazing. Really enjoyed it. It's in my top 10. But yeah, I guess I didn't get to have the surprise of it because the surprise was kind of, the wind was already taken out of my sails by hearing everyone say it was a surprise. So that can happen sometimes when you listen to all these movie pundits all day long. Luke Bartos, Sheep Detectives is also great. It's currently in my top 20 so far. Nice, man. That's a good, solid spot for it to be. All right. Collect Movie Man. Let's see what you got. Number 1, Project Hail Mary. Number 2, Michael. Number 3, Disclosure Day. Number 4, Is This Thing On? I don't know what that is. I'll have to look it up. 5, Masters of the Universe. I enjoyed Masters of the... I went into Masters of the Universe knowing virtually nothing about He-Man. I mean, I watched the 80s movie and I watched the 1987 cartoon movie and researched on it because I did a ranking for the movies, but virtually went in with no experience with He-Man, came out wanting more of He-Man. I really enjoyed it. 6, Toy Story 5. 7, The Housemaid. Wasn't that last year? I don't know if that was last year or not. 8, Mortal Kombat 2. And 9, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, with 10 being Send Help, and 11, Mandalorian and Grogu. Man, you've been seeing some good stuff. I'm gonna tell you, you're seeing some good stuff this year, man. That's awesome. Collect Movement says, here are my favorites this year. Project Hail Mary is my first favorite. Michael at 2, 3, Disclosure Day, 4, Masters of the Universe, and 5, Toy Story 5. Nice, man. That's a solid top 5. I enjoyed that. Nerd Thoughts in replying to Collective Movie Man. Great top 10 list. Love that Michael Jackson biopic number 2. Love that film. Jafar Jackson killed it as Michael Jackson. Oh my goodness. Yes, he did. Absolutely, he did. One of the reasons that movie is so magical is his performance, is how he was able to channel his uncle and bring him back to life. I'm very curious to see what depiction they give of him in the follow-up. When they do part 2, when they tackle the later years of Michael's life, very curious to see how they do that with Jafar Jackson and how, excuse me, and how Jafar Jackson stands up to the challenge. So I'm very excited. Has that movie? I haven't looked in a little bit. I'm sure I would have read an article or something at this point. But has Michael crossed 1 billion yet? Let me just check its box office real quickly because I think it was really, really close to doing it. I think it was at like 930 last time I looked. Oh, dang. All right. I'll bring this up because I forgot to bring this up last time. Oh, this is very, very, this is like nail biting. Like, this is exciting, guys. Michael currently at worldwide is at $991 million. It is kissing the line of $1 billion right now. So many of us had bets that it would make $1 billion. How are we feeling, guys? Do we think Michael's going to cross that line? It's got just under $9 million left worldwide to do. It's still playing in theaters. You can rent it. It's available on VOD, but it's still playing in. You got the Odyssey coming up. You've got Evil Dead Burn. You've got Spider-Man coming up. Does Michael hold out? Can it do it? Can it do another, whatever it is, $8,500,000? I don't know. That's I was not expecting it to be, because last time I checked in on it, it was at like 930 million. I did not expect to see 991. It is so close. It could either cross 1 billion next week or miss it by that much. That's crazy. I haven't even been paying attention to that. That's wild. Zach Goldburn says, I need to see Over Your Dead Body. I didn't hear great things, but I trust you. Oh, that's disappointing that you didn't hear great things. I kind of went in blind. I it just worked for me. It just worked for me. What can I say? My sensibility, my sense of humor. It was it was dark enough without going too far over that it was able to be enjoyable. Because you hear the premise, a married couple plan to kill each other. Doesn't sound very delightful. The way it's executed, though, it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it, anyways. I hope you love it, man. Collect the Movie Man says, out of my 50 movies for the year, here are the ones on physical media. The ones that you bought for physical media. Number one, Project Hail Mary. Number two, Michael. Number three, Disclosure Day. Number four, Is This Thing On? Number five, Master of the Universe. And six, Toy Story 5. So basically, all your favorite ones you've bought on physical media or you pre-ordered on physical media because you can't get Toy Story 5. So I'm assuming those are pre-orders. Zach Goldburn says Carolina is so good. Yeah, man, it floored me in a lot of ways. And Samara Weaving is so good in it. She really is. I forget what the guy's name is. He was good too. Correct Movie Man says, "Hey Zach G, are you going to say hi to me? Say hi to him. Say hi to him, Zach Goldberg." Luke Ponto, I gotta see Carolina. Yeah, man. Again, shout out to Jacob Hubbard. If you guys haven't checked out Jacob Hubbard, great guy, great YouTuber, great filmmaker. Check out Ruby, his short film. Check out Bobology, his follow-up to Ruby. I think he's got another one coming out. I think it's Monarch Films. Monarch Films on YouTube. Check out his film production short film studio on YouTube. He's the one that put it on my radar. I watched his video. He mentioned I think this was his second favorite, number three, number two favorite. And I was like, Caroline, what the heck is that? And I will admit, I was kind of in a Samara Weaving mood. I had just finished watching Over Your Dead Body. I was disappointed, but I had just finished watching Ready or Not 2. So I was in a Samara Weaving mood. And she's got a lot of movies out this year. She's already got 3 movies out this year. So she's having a good year. But Zach Goldburn, yeah, Samara Weaving is underrated. She's good, man. I didn't think my first impression of Samara Weaving was Bill and Ted Face the Music. She played the daughter of Bill, and she had like a side plot role in there. But I was there for Bill and Ted. I wasn't really there for the daughters, so I didn't care too much about them. But I didn't expect her to pick off like she had. Oh no, actually, you know what? Ready or Not was my first time watching her because Bill and Ted came out in 2020 and Ready or Not was 2019. So I actually saw her for the first time in Ready or Not. And then I saw her in Bill and Ted Face the Music. And now she's just kind of really started to explode. And I got to tell you, Caroline, it made me a fan. I'm looking forward to seeing where she goes in her career. I think she's got a very long one ahead of her. Zach Goldburn says Obsession is going to be on 90% of people's list. Oh, yes, it is. And I will tell you, that is one of the movies I expect to be on the list by the end of the year as well. I can't imagine, like, even if Doomsday gets into my top 10, Dune 3 gets into my top 10, Spider-Man gets into my top 10, the Odyssey gets into my top 10, that's 5 there. I feel like that could bump it down to the number 10 spot. I'm trying to think of another movie that would knock it out. Again. Oh, you know what? Whale Fall. If Whale Fall is half as good and as effective as the trailers have made it look, I expect Obsession will still be in there at the end of the year and Project Hail Mary. But I don't there's still some good stuff to look forward to. There's still some stuff to look forward to. Zach Goldburn says, "Yay, Project Hail Mary love." Oh, I love Project Hail Mary, dude. I'm nervous about them doing a sequel, which they've talked about, but I'd be there for it. I'd be there. I love it. Zach Goldburn, I'm hoping it's not forgotten by the end of the year. You know, it's got such a staying power already. I don't know if it will be forgotten by the end of the year. Indy Navarrete is just all over the place. She continues to just be like you can't really go on social media without seeing something Indy Navarrete, whether it's an interview, a clip from the movie. She's just exploded. And I it's such a phenomenon. I don't know if it's I feel like when you think back on 2026, Obsession is gonna be like the standout of the entire movie year. Like even Backrooms, like all this stuff. Even Doomsday. And I feel like we're gonna be like, man, 2026. That was the year of a obsession because it's just taken the world by storm. I'm gonna take a second, see if my wife will refill my water because I'm drinking a lot of water. This smoke is actually harder on my throat than I thought it would be. Um, would you fill my water, please? All right. Great entertainment, Zach. People love watching this. Oh my goodness. I can't spell please. Okay. O'Keys is what I sent because I can't spell please. All right, let's see here. Luke Ponto says just rewatched Project Hail Mary today. Such a great movie. Yeah, like I said, I rewatched it like 2 days ago with my wife. She watched it for the first time. I was so excited to show. As soon as I saw that it was out on Prime, I was like, "Honey, sit down. We're watching this." And she liked it too. I was very happy. She liked it too. We had a good time. But it just cemented it. I was like, "This is my number one favorite. I love this movie." The Laser official. What's going on, Laser? Thanks for joining, buddy. It says, "Hey Zach, I am back. I was cooking quesadillas and learning how to bake, dude. That's the way to live. I love quesadillas. I almost exclusively ate quesadillas for lunch when I was a teenager. I love them. They're so good, and I still make. If I'm home alone and I want lunch, I make a quesadilla. They're my favorite. So that's awesome, man. Learning some skills. That's good to have, and it's great to have you here, man. We're happy to see you. The Laser. My favorite films of 2026 so far are Toy Story 5, Project Hail Mary, Devil Wears Prada 2, and Hoppers. You know what's funny about Devil Wears Prada 2? I went and saw that mostly out of having a date night with my wife because my wife was excited to see it. I think the first one's fine. It's really well made. It's just not like a movie I gravitate towards. It's not really my like sensibilities. So I liked Devil Wears Prada 2 about as much as I liked the first one. I thought it was fine. I liked it more than my wife. My wife came out not liking that movie very much at all. And a lot of her complaints was how it was derivative and repetitive of the first film. So I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, you were the one who wanted to see this the most. And I came out liking it more than you. And I still didn't wasn't blown away by it. I was blown by Meryl Streep though. Meryl Streep is amazing. Did I say I was blown away or did I miss away? Don't clip that out. I'm nerdy with autism. My mom pre-ordered the Michael 2026 Lionsgate Limited 4K UHD Blu-ray for me. I gave her my allowance for doing chores and she paid for it. It will be here on July 17th, 2026. Can't wait. I gotta get Michael. That might be one that I might pre-order off Amazon too. So excited to get Obsession here, but I need a I haven't been keeping up with my Blu-ray release dates very well, and I need to get back into that. I really do. Zach Goldburn says, check out the invite. It's going wide this weekend. I wonder if that's coming to my theater. I can check real quick on my handy dandy theater app, see if it's coming out. I know I'm seeing Moana this weekend. I know that that's kind of set in stone. So if I could sneak off again and see another movie, maybe I could see it. But what is playing? We got July 10th, Friday. This is when it's going wide. In my theater, they are playing Minions and Monsters, Toy Story 5, Supergirl, Obsession, Moana, Evil Dead Burn? What? Evil Dead Burn comes out this weekend? I thought it was next weekend. Oh, I am terrible. Did I put the wrong date in my calendar for I have Evil Dead Burn is coming out on the 23rd. Oh, I'm way off. Like, oh, okay. Well, shoot. That's my bad. And then Disclosure Day is playing. So I don't have the invite, unfortunately. Which happens a lot with these smaller movies for me, which I'm used to, but it kind of sucks. I am honestly astonished that Evil Dead Burn is out tomorrow. Does my theater just have that wrong? That's weird. I thought for sure I went through every single movie release at the beginning of the year and I put it in my calendar so that my wife knows what I've got planned to see the next weekend. And I have in my calendar Moana this Friday, next Friday, the Odyssey, and then after that, Evil Dead Burn. So I got mixed up, or they changed the date and I wasn't paying attention. But I was planning on watching all the Evil Dead movies and doing a ranking next weekend. I guess that's out the window because I don't have time to do that now. That's hilarious. Anyways, um, oh my goodness, I have to go. I have to go look at this because Scott Edwards just sent in another super chat tonight. Dude, another $1.99. Thank you so much, man. That's so kind of you. What do you think of US Agent and Ghost? Well, here's the thing. US Agent, I liked how he was villainized in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I really love what they did with him in kind of a redemption arc in Thunderbolts. I thought what they did with Thunderbolts with US Agent made him a more favorable character for me because I always liked Wyatt Russell in the role. I liked how he was used in Falcon Winter Soldier, but it wasn't a character that in the story required him to be a very likable character. Even though I kind of liked to hate the character is kind of how I felt about him. But Thunderbolts really endeared me to him, and I liked him in the group setting. So if you're asking me what I thought of US Agent in Falcon Winter Soldier, I would say Wyatt Russell was great, and I liked to hate the character. But after Thunderbolts, he's one of my favorite new characters. Like honestly, US Agent is a character that I'm looking forward to seeing again in Doomsday and seeing again evolve as the MCU goes forward. As far as Ghost, I was honestly really happy when they brought her back for Thunderbolts because I always thought she was a very cool villain and idea in oh, why can't I remember? Ant-Man and the Wasp. I loved her in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I thought her story was very fascinating. But the movie that Ant-Man and the Wasp was did not have the time nor the necessity to dedicate and really flesh her out. So I always wanted to see her return. And when they announced that she was going to be in Thunderbolts, I got really excited because to me, Ghost was one of their most underutilized, underrated characters that they did nothing with since Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I was a little bit disappointed with her role in Thunderbolts. Like, she had some good moments. I liked that she didn't get the Taskmaster kind of treatment, but I wanted more from her, and I wish that they used her a little bit more in the movie. I'm glad that she's still around. I'm glad it looks like she's gonna pop up in Doomsday. Really like the character. Um, but yeah, wish they had used her just a little bit more. So, uh, oh my goodness, we got another super chat in here. The laser sent in $1.99. I'm happy to support the channel. Dude, that's so kind of you. You just send it in support. You're not even asking a specific question. Thank you so much, Laser. I mean, you already support the channel. All of you already support the channel just by being here, putting in the comments, not having me be alone. Like all of that is support, but to support it on that level, dude, I really appreciate that. That makes me feel really, really, really humbled and good. Thank you so much to both Scott and the Laser. Thank you guys very much. Zach Goldberg says, "Watch The Fury is one of the best action movies of the decade. I want to so bad. Not in my theater. Not in my theater." And I was so sad when I saw that it wasn't playing in my theater. I don't think my wife got my text message. I'm not getting any new water. Um, yeah, that's one that I'm dying to watch when it comes out on home video, but I don't really have any other option to watch it. I mean, if I wanted to, I guess I could drive an hour out of my way on a weekend to watch it in like another city near me, but I don't really want to do that. So I'll just wait. Edwin's Video Games. What's going on, Edwin's Video Games? He says, "Hey Zach, well hello to you, man. It's great to see you. Thank you for being here and joining us. We're happy to have you." The Laser says, "I'm watching Moana next week, but it will be crap. I also got my tickets for Spider-Man. I gotta get my tickets for Spider-Man. Still working out the details of when exactly we're gonna go with my wife." Um, yeah, I am looking forward to spending some time with my mom, some one-on-one time, going to see a movie. I haven't done that in years. Uh, but let me just pull up this real quick because I didn't hear the reactions were very good. I just saw John Campia's title on his video saying the reviews are here and they're not good, but I haven't actually like looked into what's going on with Moana. So if I can go to the Rotten Tomatoes, it currently has a 36. A 36%. Now, Michael had a 34, and it's in my top 10 of the year so far. So maybe I'll love Moana. What are people saying about Moana really quickly? Let's see here. Screenwriter Dana Ledoux Miller barely tinkers with Jared Bush's words from the original, which leaves little to be surprised or excited by. I could have told you that by the trailers. There's barely a moment in which it feels as if it couldn't have been achieved by typing. What if this scene from Moana was remade in live action into a video generator's prompt box? Yikes. The problem is that while these installments all pulled together to make a reasonably 3-star film, every part that works does so because it cribs literally from a 5-star film. Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting. I was kind of expecting this to be a shot by shot, lesser made remake, much like Beauty and the Beast and a bunch of others are. In a word, Disney's live action Moana is breathtaking. The naysayers ask, "What's the point?" But for many children, this version will be an exciting movie going experience. All right, yeah, I'm curious to see how I'm going to come out of it. I'll probably. It sounds like I'll probably come out of it kind of lukewarm, but I hope I enjoy it more than that. But yeah, gotta get my tickets for Spider-Man. I'm with you, man. Zach Goldberg said, "Need to see Hokum and Tuner. Hokum be has and divisive. Hokum has become divisive, but Tuner, I've only heard great things. I liked Tuner. I thought Tuner, and it's unfair to judge the movie on this kind of standard, but to me, Tuner was a lesser version of Baby Driver. It just was. I did like it though. Like it's a pretty paint by numbers kind of character pulled into crime kind of storyline. But it's well made and it's got good performances and nothing about it really stood out to me, is what I would say. I think it was done well. I thought it was made well. I thought it was entertaining. But there's nothing about it that has really like stuck with me since I stopped watching it. But it's good, man. I hope you love it. I hope you enjoy it. The Laser says, I saw Supergirl with my friends. Great experience. Average film. That's great. They could have done a much better job. Also, what is the song in the third act? Yeah. I didn't even know what all of the criticism on the song in the third act was. I hadn't seen it yet, but when that kicked in, when the middle started playing, my brother and I looked at each other like, this is a weird choice. I get what they were going for. It was a song that kind of reflected her journey in some ways. I understood. It just didn't work. And that happens. It just didn't work. But yeah, average film. Maybe a little below average, but yeah, average film. Let's see here. Zach Coburn. Moana looks so bad. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have a fun time with my mom. That's all I can say. I'm looking forward to having a good time with my mom. I mean, let's not bury the lead here. When we all saw Dwayne Johnson in the movie for the first time, we kind of knew what we were getting into. I mean, let's see if I can pull it. I hope it looks better in the movie. I didn't see any reactions that we just read say anything about it. Um, but the hair and the look. Oh, my wife. Yes. Thank you. Appreciate it. I actually don't have a photo on here that I mean, he looks better here. I think this looks better. It still doesn't look like fantastic, but it looks a lot better than the first still that they released. But still, it just looks like The Rock doing cosplay. And maybe it's because I'm so aware that The Rock did the voice and he's the only person that they've cast from the original voice cast to be in the live action. Appreciate you, honey. You. Hmm. But it was kind of the writing on the wall when you saw it for the first time. Like, oh man, This might not be the high art we're looking for. I love that first Moana so much, dude. The Laser says, "Do you think Angry Birds 3 is gonna flop?" The second movie flopped, and Angry Birds 3 is released in 5 days after Avengers and Dune and 2 days before Jumanji. Here's the thing, it's easy to say yes, but if that is literally the only animated movie in town, it might be able to make a profit. It might be able to pull something out. Is what's the box office? I honestly, I haven't thought about Angry Birds since middle school in, like, 2015, and I have only ever seen half of the first movie. So I don't even know what Angry Birds 2 made. Let's see here. What did Angry Birds do? All right. So the first one, oh my goodness, the first one came out 10 years ago in 2016. That's crazy. First one did 352 million worldwide. The second one in 2019, oh, it dropped to 147 million worldwide. And Angry Birds, I feel like, is really past its prime. And do kids even play Angry Birds? I don't even know. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to say it probably struggles to make $100 million. Honestly, with that competition, I do think it's gonna get some family audiences for sure. But no, I don't think it's gonna do very well. Zach Goldberg says, "I didn't hate Supergirl, just wanted more." Yeah, I didn't hate it. I definitely did want more. I just thought the movie was structured kind of weirdly. I feel like they should have the backstory that they tell in the middle, I feel like almost should have opened the movie and then led us into the character arc and I don't know. For me, the structure was weird, and it kept me from ever emotionally investing or getting hooked by the story. And the villain of it was terrible. Krem was awful. Awful. He was so bad. The Laser 3C Films just said Moana remake feels like it was 5 hours long. Must be pacing issues. Did he have a review out? I love 3C Films. Chris Parker, he's the best. Um, that sounds horrible. That sounds awful to me. I hate when a movie feels long. Um, Zach Goldberg, banger of a trailer, but I think all of the Dune trailers are bangers. Yeah, 100%. They market well, and they usually have the product that backs up that marketing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they got here. It looks incredible. Zach Goldberg, Denis is adapting the third book and part of the spin-off books and boiling it down to the most important parts. All the best directors can do that. And that's the problem that happened with Wicked Part 2. Everybody said, "Oh, it's not going to be as good as Part 1 because the second act of the play is not as good as the first act." And then it came out and everyone was like, "Yep, that was exactly what Act 2 was." And it's like, "Fix it up." Fix it up, director. Like, if you're adapting it, make it exciting, make it for the big screen. That's why Part 2 failed in a lot of ways for me, and I loved Wicked Part 1. But Denis, I love that seeing that he's doing that. He's like, "Oh, the first the third book isn't all that great in fans' eyes, but there's great stuff in it, and there's great stuff in this book. And for my adaptation, I'm gonna make something great out of all these great elements." I love that. That makes me confident. That gives me a lot of enthusiasm. And Denis is one of the best around right now. So looking forward to it. The Laser says, "Thoughts on Minions and Monsters? The film really surprised me considering I was over with the franchise after Despicable Me 4. Yeah, it wasn't that great. I missed it. And I didn't care that I missed it. I tried to fit it into my schedule, and when it wasn't fitting into my schedule, I was like, what am I doing? It's Minions. So I just gave up. I just gave up on it, and I didn't think that a ranking of the Despicable Me and Minions movie was gonna do all that great anyways. I didn't know if people were gonna actually watch the review anyways, so I skipped that one. So I don't know. I didn't see it, but the box office surprised me. A lot of people skipped that one. Zach Goldburn says, "I don't think they need a trailer right now." I mean, I agree with you in the sense that Spider-Man's coming out, and I didn't think that they were going to wait this long to drop a trailer. Comic-Con is like 2 or 3 days before Spider-Man. I think it's the 26th, and Marvel's going. So I think they drop a trailer at Comic-Con, and I think they play it in front of Spider-Man. Because this isn't a situation where they had Endgame, but then right after Endgame, they had Far From Home. And it was like, well, how are you gonna market Far From Home without spoiling Endgame, and how is that gonna work? Because Spider-Man died in Infinity War, no one's supposed to know he's back everyone knew he was coming back, but you're not supposed to know he's back at the end of Endgame, so how does he have a sequel movie coming out? It's not that kind of situation because Spider-Man isn't, or at least Tom Holland's Spider-Man isn't supposed to be in Doomsday. So I feel like Doomsday and Brand New Day are not gonna have any overlap in terms of story and how they fit together in plot. So I'm kind of surprised they've waited this long to release a Doomsday trailer. But I guess, they put all their marketing, all their energy, even though it's a Sony product, into Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now that that's starting to come out, now that that's kind of winding down, um, I think we'll get it at Comic-Con and it'll play in front of Spider-Man. But I honestly didn't think they'd wait this long to do it. And I will be shocked if they wait till August. The Laser says, makes me so angry. Legend of Aang gets a streaming release while Paramount puts Paw Patrol and Angry Birds in theaters. I mean, I'm not someone who has watched much of The Last Airbender. I wouldn't call myself a fan of The Last Airbender. So maybe I'm out of touch saying this, but I do think Legend of Aang would have a more niche audience than Paw Patrol and Angry Birds. I do think if you were to put Legend of Aang, Paw Patrol, and Angry Birds in theaters, I think Aang makes the least. I think Paw Patrol probably comes in second, and then Angry Birds is probably first. But I, I I've seen all the drama behind it. The director was not happy they made a movie for theaters, and now it's getting put on streaming. Sucks when that happens, but I can kind of understand the decision a little bit, I guess. But it's also kind of underestimating the fan base of Last Airbender. So if you didn't have faith that the fans were going to show up, why did you greenlight it in the first place? Weird business decisions. The Laser says, wait, do you mean what? Oh, what do you mean by smoke? Yeah, so I mentioned at the top of the show that a couple hours from me in another town, I'm totally fine. There's a forest fires happening. It happens every year. My area is terrible for forest fires. But all of the smoke from that fire has come over. It's overcast my entire town, and the health condition of the smoke at the moment is deemed hazardous. I work outside mainly for my job, I'm at least outside quite a bit for my job. I'd say that. So I kind of was inhaling the smoke all day, and it kind of made my throat kind of scratchy and a little bit rough. So that's what I was kind of saying at the beginning of the show is I'm probably gonna have a little bit more struggle getting words out than I usually do. But I haven't talked to you guys in like 2 weeks. I wanted to come on here. I wanted to do the show, and no amount of smoke was gonna stop me. But yeah, I'm safe. I'm good. Everyone's fine. Everyone's healthy. No need to worry about it. Um, so let's see here. What happened here? Zach Goldberg says Rise of Skywalker is probably the worst Star Wars movie. It's so bad. Yeah, it's funny too because in terms of production and the way that the film looks, it's not the worst looking. It's not the worst. It's very slick. Let's say that it's slick. It's high budgeted, made like it looks better than some of the prequels do. But story, plot, character motivations, the decisions with the characters, yeah, it's terrible. It's somehow Palpatine has returned, and somehow you have destroyed the Star Wars brand. Zach Goldburn, I loved Disclosure Day. Yeah, it was one of those movies for me that I was so locked in. I so enjoyed it that when I got out of the movie and like in my out of theater reaction, I'm like, I was locked in. I was hooked. I saw it with my dad. My dad did not like the movie. And then going online and people were like, what was this made in like 1999? Like, why'd they have to go to the news? Why were they so concerned about this and that? And I was sitting there listening to all these opinions, and I was like, I didn't really consider that. Yeah, why did they have to do that? And why did they have to do and there's definitely some things in the movie that didn't work for me. Um, but I thought the ending, not the last shot. The last shot of the movie I think is hokey and ridiculous and they could have done without. But the ending of the movie really engrossed me. It was great. Absolutely phenomenal. Zach Goldburn says Master of the Universe was fun. I had a good time. I really did. I want to see another one. I don't know if they're gonna make another one, put it on streaming. There's rumors and speculation that they want to do that still. I'd be there for it. I'd watch it. I really enjoyed it. Collective Movement says, Zach, you've never read any of the Harry Potter books? Oh my gosh, I was reading those when I was in 7th grade and I graduated high school when the final book came out. Look, you're not supposed to say it, but I don't really enjoy reading. I don't care. I'll say the quiet part out loud. If I have spare time, I'd much rather watch a show or a movie than read a book. That's just me, okay? I know I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to say it's good. It's of course it's good to read and all that stuff. But yeah, when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter. I wasn't allowed to watch the Harry Potter shows. I don't say that with any. I always like to kind of preference this. I don't say that with any hard feelings or anger or whatever you want to say towards my parents. Grew up in a Christian household. They protected me from stuff they didn't think was worth bringing into a Christian household. I get that. Then I went when I was 18. I watched them on my own. I enjoyed them, but I never felt like taking time to read the books. After I left high school, honestly, and I wasn't forced to read a book, I don't really read all that much. Which is I know terrible to admit. I don't necessarily encourage it. That's just me. That's just me. It's not what I prefer to do with my free time. Although I do read a lot of children's books now because I read my son to bed every night. So I read a lot of like, Jack and the Beanstalk and Winnie the Pooh, and I read a lot of Bearstein Bears. So I do read now because of my son and like first grade level stuff, which is good for me. Anyways, that tangent aside, Zach Goldburn says that's better use of your time than doom scrolling. Dude, I tell you, having a kid has really taken the I don't want to say joy. I'll put it like this. I'll put it like this. Doom scrolling used to mean nothing to me. Like I used to scroll on Twitter for hours, and it didn't affect me. And I used to watch Instagram Reels for hours, and it didn't affect me. But after having a son, after like when you're doom scrolling and he's playing on the floor, the guilt that kind of hits you when it's like you're not engaging with him, you're not even trying. Like, of course, it's like, oh, you're playing, you're good, you're occupied. I'll do my own thing. It's completely changed like I don't want to say it took the fun out of it, but like it made it feel so much more like wasting time than it already was. And so I decided I didn't want to I didn't I wanted to try and be more attentive. And this is like a very recent change too, so I don't want to like feel like I'm high and mighty on my horse like I ditched the social media. I'm a good father. Like no, I'm not saying that at all. I have flaws. I definitely spend too much time on my phone even still. But I never would have considered cutting all that stuff out. I never would have considered like I deleted Instagram off my phone. I have my old phone. I call it my YouTube phone. It's what I do all my like YouTube stuff on. I've got Instagram, I've got TikTok, I've got my YouTube studio, all that stuff on that device. But that's where I keep it now. Like I if I'm in bed and I want to spend a couple more minutes awake, yeah, I grab that phone and I go on Instagram Reels or I go on Instagram and I scroll. But I've kind of made it inaccessible on purpose during the day. And it's been better for it. It's only been about like a month, I've been doing that, but like Laser, is saying here, "I hate doom scrolling, but life is so boring." I mean, that's the thing is I was talking with my wife about this too. I will scroll, um, for hours, or I would scroll for hours on Instagram Reels, and I would maybe find, out of all the hours of scrolling, maybe 3 videos that I would remember after I did that the next day. Like, waking up the next day, there may be 3 videos that I could remember that I watched when I doom scrolled. Other than that, everything is just, like, in my head and then out the back. Nothing sticks. So, that's something I also wanted to try to eliminate a little bit more. And it's just a little bit more intentional to be like, I rented a movie on iTunes. I've only got, you know, 36 hours to watch it or something. Instead of going on Instagram and scrolling, I'll watch 10 minutes of this movie that I want to do a thing for YouTube for. So yeah, it's an ever ongoing navigation life thing. But I will say, I I kind of like not always having somebody else's opinion or political point of view in my face 24/7. Not going on Twitter, not going on Instagram, all that stuff during the day is really brought that down, and I quite enjoy it. Collective Movie Man says, "Oh yeah, I forgot about the Wrecking Crew. Yeah, it was a fun little streaming movie. I thought it was pretty decent." Zach Goldberg says, "Comparison is the thief of joy. 100%." And to get a little personal, especially on YouTube, if you're comparing yourself to other people's channels and people, oh, they got 172 views and I only got 53. Yeah, that is that's a bad state of mind to get yourself into. So 100% agree with that. Comparison is the thief of joy. Do your thing and enjoy it. Collective Movie Man says next week Michael comes out on 4K. I have the Walmart exclusive 4K Steelbook. Those are the movies I'm going to pre-order. I have the exclusive Project Hail Mary Steelbook on pre-order. Dude, nice. That's awesome. I need to get that. I need to get that. Collective Movement says I have Masters of the Universe on pre-order. Sweet. And I have Disclosure Day Steelbook on pre-order. You must have videos on your channel of your collections, right? Because I want to see these collections. I want to see your full collection. Then Chaotic World and Michael Anthony, what's going on, my buddy? Says Zach, you the man. No, you the man, because you're here, and I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the channel and the show. The Laser says you see Obsession crossed 400 million worldwide. From what I saw, it has made over 500 times its budget of 750,000. It's insane. That's insane. That's one of the most successful films of the year so far. That's amazing. Um Collective Movement says here are the rest of my movies for here's the rest of my movies for the year of movies for me for the most anticipated for the year, I'm guessing is what you're saying. Number 1, The Odyssey. Nice. Number 2, Dune Part 3. 100% agrees. Number 3, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Yes. Number 4, The Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping. I gotta go back and revisit Hunger Games films before I can get excited for that. I haven't seen them in a while, and I wasn't a big fan of them when I was younger. Number 5, Avengers Doomsday. I mean, I get it, man. To each their own, but I can't imagine putting Avengers Doomsday that low for hype. I'm so excited for it. I am so excited for it. It's probably my number 1. Again, thank you, Scott, and thank you, Laser, for the super chats. That was very generous of you guys. Collective Movie Man says, "Oh, number 6, The Social Reckoning. That looks great. That looks great. I'm very excited for The Social Reckoning." 7, Whalefall. 100% agree with you. Number 8, Primetime. Is that the Catch the Predator movie? I think so. Oh my goodness, we just got another super chat in here. My goodness. Number 9, Digger. Number 10, Clayface. Yeah, Clayface is up there for me too. And number 11, Verity. I don't know what Verity is, but I have to go down here now to the bottom. Wow, there's a lot of people. Thank you guys so much for contributing. Zach, go. Oh, first of all, my buddy Zach has joined on the members, no perks, just support. Sending support to the channel, dude. I appreciate you so much for supporting us through the membership, man. And also a $10 super chat sent in, which is unbelievably very generous of you, my friend. I you know how much that means to me, and thank you so much. Thank you so much, Zach. You say, what movies do you predict will leave your top 10 and what will enter that comes out from the rest of the year? Okay. So here's the thing. I think okay, I think Doomsday is gonna be in. I really do. I think Doomsday is gonna be in there. I think Doom Part 3 is gonna be in there. I think that the Odyssey is gonna be in there. I do think Spider-Man Brand New Day is gonna be in there. I'm so hyped for that film. I love Spider-Man so much. I can't imagine it's not gonna be in there. And if I can throw in an outlier, I think Whalefall has a really good chance of hitting all of the check marks for me that it could be in there. So those are 5. So what are the 5 that I think are going to be gone? I think Nirvana the band, the Nirvana the band, the show, the movie, I think that's going to get knocked out. I think Hoppers is probably going to get knocked out. I could see Sheep Detectives getting knocked out. Like I'm not as high on that film as a lot of other people are, so that could get knocked out. Um, what else did I have in there for the year? I think Caroline and um Over Your Dead Body, those could get knocked down to maybe like 7 and 8. So it's possible Toy Story 5 gets knocked out, and it's possible Michael would get knocked out. It's very possible that those ones get knocked out of the top 10. I think they would still be pretty I think they would still be pretty high in the top 20, but I think those would be the ones that would probably leave. Yeah. I feel I think Obsession probably gets knocked down to like number 6 or 7, and I think Project Hail Mary gets knocked down. If it gets knocked down to like number 5, I can't imagine Project Hail Mary will go lower than 5. That would be a really good if Project Hail Mary gets knocked down to number 5. That's a really really good year for me in movies. Once again, Zach, that was incredibly generous of you. Thank you so much for sending that in. And supporting us on that level and becoming a member to support the channel as well. I really appreciate that. Collect Movement says, just so you know, the Amazon exclusive of Michael is sold out, but they have a standard edition. Well, it might not be in Canada, my friend. Might be different. I don't know if it is, but it might be. Nerd Thoughts says, what are your thoughts on Stranger Things getting an Arrow Video 4K box set? Do you have it pre-ordered on its way? I wish I did. Well, I've got Stranger Things season 1 and season 2, so I really just need season 3, 4, and 5. I don't know if I'd want to buy the box set. I want them to release those individually. But hey, I'm just glad it's getting released at all because some Netflix shows, a lot of Netflix shows, don't ever get physical releases. So I'm glad to see that it's getting one because I want to own the whole show. I'd like to go back to that from time to time, even after Netflix has, you know, come and gone in my life, whether I unsubscribe officially or whatever. I'd like to own that so I could watch it whenever I want to. Oh man. Collective Movement says, Zach, did you hear there's supposed to be a spicy scene in Spider-Man Brand New Day with Yelena? Yep, I heard about that. If you guys didn't hear about this, if you guys didn't hear about this, I think it was Daniel RPK said that Yelena and Peter Parker are gonna have a spicy scene, so to speak. Let me see here. Here it is. This is what I saw it on. The biggest scoop for Spider-Man. Oh, what? No, I don't want to pay $60. What's going on? Why can't I read anything now? I hate ads. Okay, here it is. The well-known insider Daniel RPK who first revealed that Punisher and Hulk were in Brand New Day, so he does have a track record being right sometimes. He reports that in the movie there's a scene where Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Florence Pugh's Yelena see each other naked. I just find it hilarious that this is a scoop. First of all, Yelena is not even confirmed in Spider-Man Brand New Day, so that's kind of interesting. I mean, she's been rumored, so I guess so. Look, the execution of it is gonna be what makes or breaks it. Like for me personally, one of my least favorite Spider-Man scenes of all time In fact, one of my least favorite, like, yeah, of all time, um, is in Far From Home when the the agent tells Peter Parker to take off all his clothes, and then the guy comes in and takes a picture of Peter in his underwear with the agent. That just feels so out of place for a Spider-Man film to me. So the initial idea of a scene where you've got Yelena and Peter Parker, how do they know each other? How are they hooked up? I don't know. And they see each other naked, whether they're getting down and busy with it, or they walk in on each other for some reason. I saw like a speculation that the shot where in the trailer when he comes out of his cocoon and he falls down and he web slings his organic web for the first time, that maybe the boxers in that scene is CGI'd on, and he falls in front of Yelena's window as she's getting into a bathtub or something. Which I'm like, why would Yelena and Peter live in the same apartment building together? Why wouldn't she be up in Avengers Town? I don't know. I don't know how that works. It sounds ridiculous to me, but the execution could make it fun. You never know. You never know. So on the surface, seems strange to me, but we'll see how it goes. I'm not 100% against it, but I find it odd. Oh my goodness, you guys are really being like, you guys are spoiling me tonight. Really, you guys are doing amazing things to the channel. Collector Movie Man just sent in a 4.99 super chat, dude. Thank you so much. He says, just so you know, they're not doing individual releases for Stranger Things. They're only doing they got the rights, so it sells in a big box set for okay. Well, that's fair. That's fair. If I have to buy the box set, I'll buy the box set. I'm just saying I'd rather just continue from where I left off, but whatever. It'd probably be cheaper to buy the box set anyways at this point. But honestly, that's so generous. Thank you so much for supporting the channel on that level. The fact that you guys are sending these in, uh, like just for the support of it, like that's really making me that's making me feel really loved right now, guys. Just thank you so much, and it makes me feel like I don't know, like you guys get something from the channel as much as I get something from the channel. And that's what this should be about. This is our channel, as I always like to say. This is our channel. And yeah, the support that you guys have been giving out tonight, Scott, Collect Movie Man, Zach, Laser, like and everyone just in the chat, everyone just in the regular chat, engaging, giving us fun things to talk about tonight. Really, really means a lot. Speaking of support, a big supporter here, Nathan's Random Movies. What's going on, my buddy? He says, hey, Zach, have you seen Power Ballad? If Roofman and Holdovers was your favorite of those years, then there's a very good chance it'll be in your top 10 this year. I loved it. I love hearing that, man. Haven't had a chance to check it out yet. I was going to rent it the other day, but I chose to do the other movies that I watched the other day instead. But I do want to see it. Nathan Van Movie says, watch Power Ballad with your wife or your family if she likes the movies previously mentioned. Also, okay, I wish I had seen it with my mom. She would have liked it. Oh man, that's awesome. I that might be one that my wife and I watch then. Thank you for the recommendation. I appreciate that. Laser says, I love Toy Story 5, but my biggest issue was the cast is starting to get too big, and I did miss Rex, Ham, and Slinky. I agree with you there. Hopefully Toy Story 6 gets them more to do. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like Rex, the voice, oh no, not Rex. Slinky. The voice actor passed away. Mr. Potato Head, the voice actor passed away. I think Mrs. Potato Head even passed away. So I don't know. Instead of like just recasting them, I guess they're just deciding to give them less prominence in the story. But I agree. I do miss the OG crew from the original trilogy. Like Bonnie's new toys, they're good. I like them well enough, but they definitely have assembled a pretty big cast now where they have a big group of supporting characters and it's like Woody, Buzz, and everybody else. So I agree with you there. I do think the cast needs to slim down a little bit. Chaotic World says, with all the musical biopics we've been getting, I'm honestly shocked we haven't gotten one about Kurt Cobain. I mean, we got one about Robbie Williams and nobody even knew who he was. And they made him a monkey. So that's that too. Yeah, man. I mean, look, anything's possible. Time will come for Kurt Cobain. I believe that. Laser says, I loved Angry Birds, but when they removed the original game off of game stores, my childhood was gone. I can't say I played Angry Birds all that much. I was a Flappy Bird kid. I played Flappy Bird like no one's business. But I didn't get into Angry Birds all that much. My dad still plays Angry Birds though. So there's that. Maybe he'll see the movie. He will never see that movie. Chaotic World says we also had a Netflix film about Motley Crue, and nobody likes Motley Crue. Oh man, that's brutal. I mean, hey, each their own. I think the I think the more time goes on, every single musician ever is possible to get a biopic. I'm not gonna be honest. I'm not that familiar with Kurt Cobain, so I can't add too much to that. I'm sorry, Michael. Zach Goldburn says The Furious is available to rent in the U.S. I don't know if that's the same for Canada. Looking it up right now. Um, The Furious. Oh my goodness, my hands are so sweaty from this room. I can't even type. Okay, not looking it up right now. I can't even put my passcode in. I'll have to look that up because if it is available, I will be renting that tonight. Um, the laser. I remember in 2020 there was a fire around my area and the sky was orange. I remember waking up and seeing the sky. 2020 was cursed. Yeah, yesterday the sky was completely orange. In the evening, it was really bad. It's cleared up a bit now, but this is like kind of run of the mill for my summers. Like this is nothing really new. It's unfortunate. It sucks. That we have such wildfires every year, but yeah, I'm used to the smoke being around in the summer, but in particular, this one was pretty bad. The laser says I haven't read in 4 years. My brain can't focus. I mean, I can't judge, man. I can't say I'm much better. I can't say I'm much better. Collect Movement says I'm reading 70 books this year. I've already read 25. That's impressive, man. That's awesome. Hold on to that. Hold on to that, man. Don't lose that. Um, Zach, quick question. Do you think you'll consider reading the Harry Potter books to your son when he gets a little bit older? I was just curious. Honestly, man, that's going to be a parenting decision between me and my wife. Because my wife and I talk about all that kind of stuff. We're both Christians and we both have at sometimes we have different convictions and different points of view of things like that. Like sometimes there's horror films I want to buy and she's not even comfortable having them in the house. And that's, that's not neither here or there. Like that's fair. And we talk about it and we discuss it. And that's going to be the same with this. Like I've never read the Harry Potter books. I would probably want to either listen to all the audiobooks and read them myself before I just read Harry Potter to him. I know my wife is probably a little bit more weary about witchcraft and in some ways what could be seen as satanic image stuff coming into the house. So I can't answer that really. Like for me, I'm thinking if I like them, if I think they're fine, sure. But that's gonna be a parenting decision between me and my wife because we're partners. That's what a partnership is, and that's how it should be. So I can't answer that fully, but I will say that I I I could consider it. Consider's a good word. I could consider it. Collective Movie Man says I'm really trying to learn how to put my phone off to the side when I'm watching a movie at home, but sometimes I may get bored with a movie and I'll start doom scrolling, put it in another room, put it in another room. That's something I've been trying to do too. As soon as I get home from work and my son, I take my phone. It's pretty much low battery anyways. I take my phone, I put it in the bedroom, I plug it in, and I leave it there. And that's something that's been helping a little bit too. Um, so yeah, that'd be my suggestion. I mean, look, if you're doom scrolling during a movie, that's not the worst thing. But when you have a tiny little set of eyes looking up at you and you're doom scrolling, it feels bad. Just my experience, it feels bad. I have never felt bad doom scrolling watching the screen. I've never felt bad doom scrolling while watching a movie. So, you know, it happens. If it happens, it happens. But my suggestion, if you're really serious, put your phone in another room. If I can still speak. Um Zach Goldburn says, I think there's so many activities to do and so much to watch. It's better to experience than to just watch random reels. So true. Like, I totally forgot that X-Men 97 Part 2 was out. Like, I completely forgot that X-Men 97 Part 2 or Season 2 was out. And I still haven't watched that yet because I've been I've like I said, I've got an hour left in Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and then the Disney live action remake watch is over, and I can prepare for my ranking after Moana. And I'm halfway through my Christopher Nolan watch for the Odyssey. So I've just been kind of like focusing on that, and then I took a break and watched a couple new movies to try and catch up a bit. I prefer movies though to TV. I really do. Like if I'm watching like my wife and I will sit down and watch like High Potential. We're on High Potential season 2. We'll watch that before we go to sleep. We like enjoying that together, but I don't really find a show that I'll just watch on my own that isn't connected to some kind of franchise very often. I really do prefer watching movies. Collect Movie Man says the only time I really turn off my phone is Sundays for House of the Dragon season 3. There you go. Priorities, man. That's what gets your attention. Yeah, put it in the other room. You'll have no problem. Nathan Venom Movie says hot take as of recently for me is that I did not like Minions 3 and I thought it was just a cash grab. Hey, I haven't seen it, so that could very well be true. As far as the cash grab goes, it didn't do very much cash at the box office, so I don't know how that worked out for them. The Laser. Again, Zach, thank you so much for that super chat of $10. That was incredibly generous. My most anticipated for the rest of the year is Avengers, Wildwood, Spider-Man, The Odyssey, and Shaun the Sheep movie 3. Not gonna lie, didn't know that there was a Shaun the Sheep movie 2. I didn't know they made a sequel to Shaun the Sheep. I don't think I've ever seen Shaun the Sheep. I hear it's great, and I don't think I've ever seen it. That's great, man. I have to watch the trailer for Wildwood. I saw it pop up, but I didn't click on it. That's that Leica movie, right? Those Leica movies are pretty good most of the time. But Avengers, 100% agree. Spider-Man, The Odyssey, 100% agree. Cannot wait for those films. All right, let's see here. We got Zach saying, I think people are forgetting that Godzilla Minus Zero is coming out. That's probably going to be a banger. Dude, that's a sleeper. Because I keep forgetting that that's coming out. Again, there's been no promotion for it. There's no big marketing for it yet. Once they start ramping up with the marketing and the promotion, oh yeah, that's gonna be a big one. I'm looking forward to that, and I don't usually look forward to Godzilla stuff, so that's saying a lot. I loved Godzilla minus one, so that could make it Godzilla minus zero or Godzilla minus one in the year 2023 was my runner up for my favorite movie of the year, beat out by the magnificent The Holdovers. If you haven't seen The Holdovers this holiday season or even just this summer, watch The Holdovers. So Godzilla Minus Zero could very well be in that list. We'll see. The Lawrence Report. What's going on? Thanks for joining us, my friend. He says, just waiting for Dune and Doomsday at this point. Dude, this whole year has felt like a slow crawl to get to Doomsday and Dune. Honestly, it really does. Sometimes I have to like catch myself being like, okay, anticipate the next movie. The Odyssey's coming out. Anticipate the Odyssey. You can't just live your life thinking about when is Doomsday coming. It's gonna make the year feel like it flew by if all you're doing is waiting for Doomsday. So I had to stop myself from doing that. But I'm with you there, man. To me, this is just the year of Marvel and Dune. Um, Zach says that Far From Home scene was weird. Yeah, it's never clicked with me. It's never gelled with me. It's not like offensive or anything. I just don't think it fits in a Spider-Man film. Collect Movement says the 4K of the big box that is $150, and then the Blu-ray is $140. It's gonna be hard to convince my wife that's a necessity of a purchase. That might be a Christmas wish list thing for me. Collect Movie or my birthday. My birthday comes before Christmas, so maybe I'll ask for that for my birthday. Collect Movie Man says my favorite part of Toy Story 5 was Conan O'Brien. He was funny. Yeah, he was a good addition to the cast, and I liked his character. The Laser says also in Toy Story 5, the aliens did nothing again. They also had no lines in Toy Story 5 and Toy Story 4. I've never that's never bothered me. I'll say that. I like the aliens, especially how they're used in Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2. I've never felt like I've never gotten enough aliens. So that's different for me. Clint Movement says, "Did your work give you a mask to put on?" Of course, yep. To their credit, they absolutely did provide me with a mask. So, yep, absolutely. Doug Christensen, what's going on, Doug Christensen? Haven't seen you in a minute, man. It's great to see you. What's your favorite classic action movie? Oh man, that's a good question. You're saying if I'm being honest, it's Commando. That's a good one. It is probably an Arnold one or a Sylvester Stallone one. Like I love First Blood. Like I really love Rambo First Blood. cliche, but I love Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is it's hard not to say Terminator 2. I think it's gonna be Terminator 2 is what I gotta go with. Um, Even though it's the easy answer. Again, Collect Movie Man, thank you so much for that 4.99. That was very generous of you. Nathan Red Movie says if Man of Tomorrow underperforms, and after Supergirl bombing, and with Paramount buying Warner Brothers, is DC officially over? The big questions of the day. Okay, here. Let's talk about this for just a second. Because I'm curious. What is Supergirl at? Because even as someone who was let down by the film, I never saw just how bad Supergirl was gonna do. I don't even think that Supergirl has hit. Let me see here. I don't even think Supergirl has hit $100 million worldwide. Oh, it did. Okay, it's made $103 million worldwide after 2 weekends in theaters. Man, that's terrible. This movie's gonna be a massive loss for them, especially since they're putting it out on VOD in like 3 weeks. So to answer your question, after the colossal failure of Supergirl, if Man of Tomorrow underperforms, if Supergirl bombing and Paramount buying Warner Brothers, is DC officially over? No, DC's not officially over because we still have to see what happens with Lanterns and Clayface. They made Clayface, if I remember correctly, the budget for that was like $40 million. So if they, you know, clear $150 million, $200 million on Clayface, which I think could be a possibility if it's really that good, they'll recoup their money for that and even probably bounce back from Supergirl. Lanterns could be good, hopefully. But if Man of Tomorrow does underperform, I think James Gunn is in more danger than DC is in danger. One, again, it's a failure. It's a really, really, really bad setback. But it's not the end of the world that Supergirl didn't make really any splash at the box office. I've been seeing a lot of people be like, well, the MCU, the Incredible Hulk only made like 264 million worldwide. And so Iron Man is like Superman and Incredible Hulk is like Supergirl. I think that comparison is like really ill-conceived and kind of narrow-minded because this is a very different situation than when you have Iron Man, which they had aspirations for a shared cinematic universe. There was talk about getting to an Avengers, but it was a cinematic universe like the MCU had never been done before. And Incredible Hulk came out a month after Iron Man because it was distributed by Universal. It was a different, like Paramount had Iron Man, Universal had Hulk. They were both in the shared universe with Tony Stark coming at the end of the film, but no one really knew that it was a shared universe. No one really knew that, oh, Iron Man and then Incredible Hulk is going to be dependent on if we get the Avengers. Like none of that talk was there because it was a different landscape. James Gunn has been very, very, very publicly notifying us that Supergirl and Superman are connected, that this is a shared cinematic universe. This is also not their second project. This is their fourth. Their first was Creature Commandos, then they did Peacemaker Season 2, then they did Superman, then we did Supergirl. In comparisons, we're at Thor. We're not at the Incredible Hulk. Cinematically, I guess you can say we're at Incredible Hulk. But cinematic universes have been done. They're kind of fizzling out in a lot of ways. So this is not, in my opinion, comparable to where Marvel was starting. This is pretty bad. It shows that people may have liked Superman, but people may not be interested in your DCU. And those are two different things. I want to see a good Superman movie. I want to explore and really get into this universe. People did the one, they didn't do the other. So Lanterns is going to be a really telling sign of how does it do on HBO Max? How do the fans respond to it? Clayface, kind of an outlier, even though it's in the DCU. It's going for a different audience within the universe. But I do think James Gunn is in more danger if Man of Tomorrow underperforms than DC is in danger if Man of Tomorrow underperforms. And I do think Paramount is going to crack down on James Gunn because I think that James Gunn, and I was talking about this on the Small Zero channel, and we got into a really good discussion about it too. I think James Gunn has shot himself in the foot with a lot of his comments. If you look at James Gunn, and this is someone who I'm a fan of James Gunn. I think I've liked almost every single James Gunn movie that he's directed. But he is a little bit of a one-trick pony when it comes to directing. He mainly stays in the comic book genre. He mainly sticks to outcast characters, wacky humor, musical like he knows how to construct a great James Gunn movie. But James Gunn movies, he hasn't branched out beyond his comfortable bubble of where he is in the comic book genre. He's never run a studio before. And he's not dedicating the time, at least it appears, to learn how to run a studio. If you look at what James Gunn has done since he's taken over the DCU, he hasn't adjusted himself to being a CEO. He has tried to have his cake and eat it too. The first thing he did was work on his second season of his TV show and greenlight it for himself. Fine. Peacemaker was a hit, so whatever. Then he did another show, Creature Commandos. Wrote and worked on it very heavily as well. Then he went and made Superman, which is like, that's good. You're the one setting the tone and the success of the universe off. So that's fine. You want to go and direct Superman. But he hasn't stepped back from being a writer or a director of his own stuff within DC since then. Even with Supergirl, he's been off making Man of Tomorrow. If you look at what Kevin Feige's done at Marvel and how many hats he has to wear as the CEO to overlook all of the projects, I just think James Gunn is being neglective as a CEO. That's my opinion. We'll see how Lanterns turns out. We'll see how Clayface turns out. But in my opinion, I don't think that James Gunn is very interested in being a real CEO. I think he's interested in just being able to make the stuff he wants to make for himself and as he would do it himself. Because even Supergirl, there's talk all behind the scenes. He hired Greg Gillespie, but he had his hands in there a lot. Apparently, he picked a lot of the needle drops. The studio did an edit of themselves, which the studio is Peter Safran and James Gunn. So James Gunn did an edit of Supergirl himself and then competed against the edit of the director that he hired. That seems weird to me. And so I don't know if James Gunn is showing that he has the leadership skills and the interest in being a CEO of DC Studios. All of this to say, when Paramount buys Warner Brothers, I think they're going to look at Gunn as the leader, and they're going to say, "Okay, look, are you interested in really getting your hands dirty, taking all of your focus and putting it into orchestrating it and developing this universe through other creators, or do you just want to be a creator?" And if that's the case, I think the DCU will continue on, at least for a little bit. And I think James Gunn might step down as CEO and he might just become an exclusive director. Or he might leave entirely and go to, I would love to see James Gunn do something different, honestly. I would love to see a drama from James Gunn. I would love to see an action film that's not super heroic from James Gunn. I would love to see a full-on comedy from James Gunn. I can't imagine he's not going to get bored. I don't know. It just seems interesting to me. So, anyways, all of that to say, do I think DC will be officially over if Man of Tomorrow underperforms? No, but it's going to be under the microscope of the new owners of Warner Brothers. And James Gunn himself is probably going to be pulled into the office and asked some questions. What do you really want to do here? Do you even want to be here? Do you like your position? Because he'll also, I think by the end of next year, he'll have the option to not renew his contract. So, and I've been all for James Gunn taking over the DC universe, but I don't think that he's actually given it his all. Personally, I don't. Whoops. Could have jumped there. Nathan Movie says, "Will you see Evil Dead Burn? Probably better than Moana live action." Honestly, probably not now because I got the date wrong. I thought Evil Dead Burn came out in 2 weeks. I don't know why. I'm gonna have to look at that schedule and reaffirm that everything is right. So we'll see. Michael 101591 says, "Hey Zach, what's going on, Michael 101591? Always happy to see you in here, my friend. It's great to see you. Thank you for joining us." The Laser says, "This year has gone by fast, yet January feels like a lifetime ago." I agree though. This year is going by really fast. We're already halfway through the year. I can't believe that. Click Movement says, "You have a good night, Zach. I will send you the links to those trailers." Well, thank you very much, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. The show was made better because you were a part of it, my friend, and I appreciate you, dude. You have a good night. All right. We should maybe start going through these a little bit faster because my I spent a lot of time on that last question. Nathan Movie says, "Red Pill, The Odyssey, Doomsday, Violent Night 2, Hunger Games 5, and Werewolf. Blue Pill, Clayface, Brand New Day, Jumanji 4, Dune 3, and Digger." I gotta be honest, you put Doomsday in the Red Pill, I gotta go Blue Pill. Um, of course, I'm interested in the Odyssey, Doomsday. I want to see Violent Night 2, Hunger Games 5, and Werewolf. It doesn't really seem like my thing. I want to see Clayface. Got to see Brand New Day. I like the Jumanji films. Got to see Dune 3, and Digger looks great. So I got to go pretty easily, even though I'm losing Doomsday and the Odyssey, Blue Pill. The Laser says, "I don't want Paramount to buy Warner Brothers. I want DC to continue, and I don't want Turd Blossom to rule my content." Yeah, I know there's a lot that goes into it. It's not a great reality at the moment. But hey, those are all ifs. We'll see what actually ends up happening. We still have Lanterns, we still have Clayface, we still have Man of Tomorrow to look forward to. So things are moving along right now. Zach Goldberg opened less than Morbius. Yeah, and I think The Flash as well, which is crazy. The Laser says, "Do you remember when Iron Man released? How big was the hype?" Honestly, my memory of Iron Man, you have to remember, I was 8 years old. I was no 2000. Yeah, I was like 8 or 9 years old when Iron Man came out. My experience with Iron Man was my dad would often do this when I was younger, and it was the best. I'd come home from school on a Friday, and he'd say, "Hey, I got tickets to a movie." That's how we saw Transformers, and I didn't know what that was, and he would explain it to me on the drive up. And in this case, it was "I got tickets. We're gonna go see Iron Man." I was like, "What is Iron Man?" Um, he was like, "It's a superhero, kind of like he knew of Iron Man, but like only the basics. He didn't have too much knowledge." And my experience of watching Iron Man was, as a kid, mind blowing, like absolutely mind blowing. And I thought that the song at the end, by Black Sabbath, I think it is Iron Man. I thought that was about the character. So I had that on my little iPod at the time, and I thought that I was listening to a song about the movie. But I don't think the hype really started to generate until the Avengers came out. I remember Iron Man was like kind of a pleasant surprise from what I remember my dad saying. Like he was like, "That was much better than I thought it was gonna be." And then I think we skipped Incredible Hulk, but we saw Iron Man 2, and it was like, yeah, that was good. It wasn't as good as the first one, but I liked it. And then Thor and then Captain America was kind of when it was like, wait a minute, are these things like is this happening? I remember going to see Iron Man 2 and the post-credit scene when they showed Thor's hammer in the desert. I remember my dad geeking out and being like, wow, I think they're actually going to do this. And he started explaining like, oh my God, that's going to be Thor. Now Thor and Iron Man, and they were in the Avengers with Captain America and all. Like he started explaining to me what he thought the movies were going to do. But when Avengers came out, that's when I remember the hype. That's when I remember like this was like the biggest movie anyone's ever made is how it appeared. I never thought of seeing a movie where characters from other movies that I liked were in the same movie together. Like the idea that I loved Iron Man, I liked Thor, I liked Captain America individually in their movies. The fact that they were going to be in the same movie, that was what was mind blowing to me as a kid. I remember that was like, I couldn't believe that was happening. I'd never really had seen that before to the scale that the Avengers was doing. So Iron Man was like very enjoyable, very successful, but Avengers is when I remember like that was hard to get tickets for. That was packed every single night. Like that's more so what I remember was the Avengers. Zach Goldburn says also just a different climate. No one expected the MCU to be as big as it has been. Exactly. And I was also like, one of the things too is the MCU was a slow rollout. It was like, okay, Iron Man. All right, that worked. All right, then Universal has the Incredible Hulk. We're doing that. We're doing Iron Man 2. All right, we're doing Thor, we're doing Captain America, and we're doing Avengers, right? They slowly built out the team and then did the big climactic, I guess you could say, finale of phase one with the Avengers. 6 projects. You align those 6 projects with DCU, Creature Commandos, Peacemaker Season 2, Superman, Supergirl, Lanterns, Clayface is their Avengers. That's not a very exciting build. I know that James Gunn said he's not planning on building an overall story, but he's expanding and he's growing out a universe, and he's expecting people to get invested in the universe to come see the next one that further expands the universe. But I don't know if he's got the hitters that are going to bring people out. I just don't know. Zach Goldburn said he made a mistake not doing the Justice League members. Yeah, I mean that's the easy route to do, but it also might have been the correct route. It might have very well been. Yeah, it might have been more popular to do that for sure. Nathan Red Movie says you have to remember that Paramount put out Transformers 1, easily the best Transformers movie, and it bombed and canceled the 2 sequels. Why would they continue the DCU if Man of Tomorrow bombs? Man of Tomorrow bombing is a different story than underperforming. Underperforming is all right. Superman made $600 million. We're expecting Man of Tomorrow to at least make 800 million, and it made 650, or it made 700 million. Like that's kind of underperforming. Or even if it did like less than like $590 million, like it did less than the first one did. If Man of Tomorrow comes out and makes like $200 million, the low $300 million, that's a bomb. Like worldwide, that would be a bomb. If Man of Tomorrow comes out and it makes Supergirl's $40 million opening weekend, that's a bomb. If Man of Tomorrow comes out and it makes 90 to $100 million on its opening weekend domestically, that'll be good. So those are kind of different things. If Man of Tomorrow bombs, like if you come off a Supergirl that made just shy of $40 million opening weekend, let's say Man of Tomorrow, let's say it even does like 52 million. Then you think about scrapping the universe and not moving forward. I think. Uh if Supergirl's your only one, all right, that didn't work. That was a hit. That was a blemish on our record, but Lanterns hit for the audience on HBO Max. Clayface made its budget back and then some. We're very happy with Clayface. And Man of Tomorrow matched or exceeded a little bit of the first Superman. You move forward. But if it bombs, that's different. You scrap it. If your seventh, is it their seventh or eighth movie? Let's say seventh, or well, I guess technically it'll be their fourth movie. If your fourth movie, if you have 3 in a row, if Supergirl bombs, if Clayface somehow bombs, and a Man of Tomorrow bombs, you scrap it. You make a new universe and you don't bring anyone from the old universe along for the ride. You don't do it. Nathan Red Movie says, not to mention that every DC theatrical film of the past 5 years has bombed, aside from the Batman and Superman. Which, yeah, I mean, you also knew that the universe was getting scrapped. So a lot of people didn't go to the last couple movies, but I will say, looking back at the DCU and even going back because I watched all the DC movies in preparation for Supergirl because I did a massive DC movie ranking that I thought would do a lot better than it did on the channel, but that's beside the point. Um, I enjoy a lot of the DCEU movies. I really do. Um, so far I've enjoyed a lot of the DCEU movies more than I've enjoyed the DCU, but that's neither here or there. Where are we at? Oh, Collect Movie Man's back. What's going on, man? Zach Goldburn says, oh my goodness, why is this not working? There we go. DC is bigger than one movie. Transformers has to do well with its main characters. That's a very good point. Um, Zach Goldberg also says all those projects he did plus Supergirl have similar aspects. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, you can say that about the MCU. The MCU had a very similar formula and tone and way that the movies kind of were built out and the characters acted. That they felt like they were the same universe in that way. And I can see the attempt of trying to do that with the DCU, but it just might not be a tone that can benefit every single movie that comes out. That might James Gunn's initial foundation of the DCU might have already messed it up. Zach Goldberg says also, what the heck is Peter Safran doing? As far as I understand, Peter Safran like basically takes care of all of the financial businessy stuff. James Gunn leads the creatives, does where the projects are going to go, hires people, casts people, and Peter Safran does all the stuff James Gunn doesn't want to do. Deals with the finances, deals with the shareholders, deals with all that kind of stuff. Very behind the scenes of it all, and James Gunn is the face of it all. But Kevin Feige does it all. You can try as much as you want. You cannot compare James Gunn to Kevin Feige. You just can't. Zach Goldberg says he also hired another writer to rewrite the script. That's true. He did, and that was another thing too. With editing, Greg Gillespie had an editor that he worked with, and then James Gunn brought in his editor that he works with on Guardians of the Galaxy. These are two creatives. These are directors butting heads about a creative vision when James Gunn should have just hired David Gillespie and let him do his vision. I think that's where the problematic comes in of having a very stubborn director lead all these other directors and their visions. I think the clash of titans is already starting and you're starting to see it. Collect Movie Man says, hey Zach, just wanted to let you know that I sent you the trailer for Verity and Primetime, and I also sent you a picture of the box set for Stranger Things. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'll check that out on my Instagram. I'm assuming that's where you sent it. The Laser says, I'm a head out, man. I had a fantastic time on the stream. Have a good night. Well, you too, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. The show was made better because you were a part of it, my friend, and I appreciate you, dude. You have a good night. Collect Movement says they sold out on the really big box that you can get. That's 150 on Blu-ray, and the 4K is 185. Then the smaller versions, that's 130 for Blu-ray and 160 for 4K. I'd probably get the 130 for Blu-ray. I don't need 4K. I don't even have a 4K TV or a 4K player. Collect Movement says, and the company that's putting it out is a boutique label, and once they sell out, they're not reprinting anymore. Brutal. All right. I gotta get on that. My birthday's October, so I gotta get my family to make sure that's pre-ordered. And I sent you a picture of my Project Hail Mary Steelbook that I have pre-ordered, and Disclosure Day Steelbook. Also, my Michael 4K Steelbook Walmart exclusive. Thanks, man. That's awesome. I'm excited to see those. Excuse me. Excuse me. Whoa. Collective Movement says, I don't know if you have Barnes & Noble in Canada, but this boutique label that's putting out Stranger Things, it's called Arrow Video and Barnes & Noble. Arrow Video is 50% off. All right. I don't know. I don't have a Barnes & Noble in my town. I don't know if they have it in Canada. Collective Movement says, starting at the end of July. Okay, good to know. Mike's Film Fix says, there's my favorite ketchup drinker. Oh man, if you don't watch Luke Ponto's streams, you have no idea what that's about, and we're gonna keep it that way. Thanks for joining, Mike. Good to see you, my friend. And the last one, at least for now, comes from Zach Goldburn, and he says DCU had gravitas, and DCU feels too much like a bunch of normal people. I can see that. I do think that Say what you want about the DCEU, they had great ambitions. They really did. Now their ambitions sometimes bit them in the butt, and in a lot of ways is the reason they didn't succeed. But, like, when you look at what they did whether it's, attempting Batman versus Superman, which is a movie I ultimately like. What Zack Snyder ultimately tried to do, and we later got to see with Justice League, was very ambitious and very, very, big scaled, and even Patty Jenkins coming in and doing Wonder Woman, and the attempt at doing a Flashpoint story with the Flash for his first solo film. That's a really interesting way to go with a first superhero solo film. You do the origin story, but you do it in a way that like it's intertwined into the time travel of it all. I think that's really cool. I think the DCEU had a lot of things going for it. I even like Birds of Prey quite a bit, and that's a different kind of superhero film. It's very very low scaled stakes, but there's a lot of the DCEU I really did like. And in some ways, I do think the DCU is playing it a little bit safe, which is fine. I mean, Clayface, that's a risk. I'll give him that. Clayface is definitely a risk. Um, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm still on board. I'm still on board for the DCU. I'm still rooting for Gunn. I'm still rooting for everyone involved. I like David Cornsweet. I even like Melly Alcock as Supergirl. Like I want to see more of her. But yeah, yeah, they've we'll see what happens. They've got an uphill battle at this point. And Collective Movement says you have a good night. You too, my friend. And with that, guys, that looks like it's the end of the show. And what a show it was, guys. Lots of great conversations brought up. Thank you guys for steering this ship in all those fun, crazy directions. I want to thank again Scott, Laser, Zach Goldberg, Collective Movie Man, and I feel like I might be missing someone, and I feel terrible for it. But sending in the super chats, supporting the channel on that level really means a lot to me. I cannot tell you how much that means to me, guys. With that, hopefully I can do this again next week if I'm available. We will definitely be back here again next Wednesday. As far as what to look forward to on the channel, gonna see Moana tomorrow. Gonna try and get a ranking of all the Disney live action remakes up by Monday. I'll have my Moana review out by probably Saturday, Sunday at the latest. Looking forward to that, guys. And with that, thank you guys for being here. Everybody have a good night. And don't forget, don't just watch movies, talk movies. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.